Across the plains, hope rekindles in the crimson tide, as freedom's anthem calls our names. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Fields of dreams are ripe once more. Factories hum with honest pride. Our banner waves on every shore, with courage marching by our side. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Through trials dark, we found our steel. The eagle's cry breaks through the night. In unity, our wounds now heal. We chase the dawn with fearless light. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day.
Hey, how's everybody doing? What's going on, people? How you doing, Dr. Jade? How you making out?
Oh, you know, every day is a new adventure. I can tell people all about my visit to physical therapy this morning.
Okay.
I don't know if that's fascinating to anybody.
Not too much.
Not so much. Not so much.
No, when I have to go, then I'll hit you up and say, "Hey, how was it?" And you'll be like,
"There you go."
You'll be like, "F you, man! I was going to tell you." All right. So let's see, who do we got here? We got Commander, my sister, Carrie Ann. What's up? Yo, Chris, brother from another mother. Charlie, how you doing? It's good to see you. Let's see, who else did I miss? Anybody? They're coming in. All right, cool. Yeah, we got everybody have a good week. Anglo, brother, what's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you. Yeah, we got another man. New job is kicking your back. Oh, dude, really? Wow. 4 days in, 10 hours a day. Yeah. Someone said to me the other day, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm working half day. They're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah. It's
12 hours.
12 hours. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's see. Let me
remember
the stories. Oh, man.
I remember a story about grade schools kids being given a math problem. And it was something to the effect of, cows produce so much milk per day. How much would they produce per week?
Right.
And there was a bunch of them who got the wrong answer, but it was the same wrong answer. And the professor was kind of weirded out by that he sat down and figured it out. Some of the kids were giving the cows a 5-day work week.
Okay. Wow. We got just another
It just never
bombshell,
stopped.
bombshell news, man. Again, it's just let's go down the main. I extended the main to 40. We got 40 top ones, and then we got, the feed up there. So the top one, this is a confession, guys, of how an army of CIA personnel formed a group the day after Trump won the election to try to use their special set of skills to undermine their own elected government. This was in 2020, or was it 2016? It might have been 2016. But guy on the right is the former CIA. Guy on the left is a libtard a-hole. So John Brennan, good news, guys. Prosecutors zero in on CIA's Brennan with secret requests for years-old evidence from U.S. Senate, because he spied on the Senate when he ran the CIA under Obama. He spied on the Senate, lied about it in testimony to Congress, and then later on had to admit it because they caught him red-handed with evidence. He never did a day in jail. That's lying under. It's perjury. It's lying under oath. And he said he wasn't under oath. Yeah, he was, because cabinet members they get sworn in and there's a vote and all that, so they're considered under oath. But leave it to a libnut to try to break everything out. Judge blocks Virginia Democrats' unconstitutional attempt to rig elections for now. They're freaking out. They're absolutely freaking out because they may lose. We may win the midterms. Now, guys, you guys overseas, you probably noticed, but I'll say it anyway. Thanks for being here, by the way. What happens is let me just move down. Never mind. I'm just going to move down on this. How Iran plans to strike back is the part of the equation that people should really be focusing on, because Trump right now, he's sending a fleet over there. He's got more air power than anything back to 2003. And he doesn't want it. He keeps saying, they got a deadline. They're blocking, what is the Strait of Hormuz? They're blocking a strait that ships go through. It's like 33% of the world's oil comes through there, and they took it over and they're blocking it. So I don't know. I don't know what they're up to. I don't know if China says, yeah, do it, we'll back. I don't know what's going on, but Trump isn't having it. So this guy, Brandon Gill, awesome guy. He's a congressman. He's a freshman, I believe. And he's just great to listen to. He outlines how the feds will carry out two-front fight against anyone funding Antifa. So they're going after them, and they're going after their funding. So here we go. How Bhattacharya, he's the guy, this guy on the left. He's the guy that was on Fox News all the time during COVID, debunking every dumbass thing that Rachel, whatever her name, not Levine, the other one, Wilcox, or what the hell was her name? I don't know. She was the CDC head. I think prior to that, she was a teacher in a college, and then she becomes the CDC head. It wouldn't be a week without Ilhan Omar news. So Ilhan Omar says Democrats don't just want to abolish ICE. She's calling for the Department of Homeland Security to be dismantled. In other words, we're back to, we want to defund the police. Okay. See, they do that shit because this is the whole thing. The people were leaving their party in droves. So they figured we have to they did this like years ago, though. It was like maybe 10 years ago they started, and now it's just at a crazy point, right? But they started reaching out to the fringe elements, like, the wing of the Democratic Party, right? And they have to keep reaching out to them to get them to come in. So they got to say all these dumbass things. And then eventually they believe the dumbass things themselves, right? And that's what they're fighting for, right? And it's all things that are like the antithesis to American life, like yes, we want police and law enforcement to get rid of illegal aliens, especially the criminal ones, but get them all out. Yes, we believe in law and order. No, we don't believe in fraud with our tax dollars. No, we don't believe in any of that shit, right? And so they got to get nuttier and nuttier and nuttier. And so she's calling for dismantling the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. Okay, good luck with that. So Pennsylvania high school principal, this is good, shuts down student anti-ICE walkout. I love that. Hey, what's up, Louie? Good to see you, man. Who else is in that I missed? Ludwig. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thank you. Who else? Jimmy from Philly. I haven't heard from my brother in a while, so I was wondering, like, what the hell's up with him? I thought that guy got you, the disabled guy. But good to see you, man. Let's see. Antithesis. Yeah. Antithesis is right. So then we have, oh, here you go. There's the picture, right? There he is. Bombshell Jeffrey Epstein files that led to ex-Prince Andrew's arrest include confidential government briefs. Guys, it wasn't just because he was doing the nasty with kids, which, you know what? I shouldn't even say that because I haven't read that part, but it wasn't just that he was hanging out with Epstein. He gave up confidential files and I think military data as well from London. He's a fucking traitor is what he is. And that's we're going to talk about that. And we have, here you go. This woman is driving Sunny Hostin nuts because I call it ABC's The Shrew panel erupts as a guest defends Trump against racism claims. Oh, that's going to be fun. There you go. Trump's no-nonsense D.C. crackdown tops 10,000 arrests as DOJ declares era of unchecked violence is over. Guys, for like 3 decades, it was crazy. You couldn't walk down the street at night in D.C. I mean, for fear you could be killed or harmed or robbed or all the above, right? And what did it take? Like 6 months? And it's like people are outside again, barbecuing at night, like doing all kinds of shit. Kids can go out now. It's no problem, right? Here you go. We now know what happened when Obama found out Trump won in 2016. He cried. He cried. Yeah, we'll get into that. And for you Canadians, for our Canadian friends, we're sad to say a 26-year-old seasonal depression sufferer was euthanized in Canada. That drives me crazy. A Kansas governor, look at her. Kansas governor vetoed a bill that banned men from the women's room. The legislature overrode her. Good for them.
Yeah, couldn't that face stop a clock?
Oh, it could stop bird shit in midair.
Oh yeah, we ran into that last week, right?
Yeah, that was what's her name? Low IQ, whatever the hell her name is. Whatever.
What are you talking about?
What's that?
Who are you talking about?
Congresswoman out in California. What the hell was her name? Guys, I got a mental block. Low IQ. Louie, help me out. She's the one that said that what you call it? She told people
talking about the one that was out there. You got to confront them.
Maxine Waters. That's her name. Maxine Waters.
Yeah, that's who I thought.
Damn, I had a mental block for a second. Sorry. Yeah, she was voted. She was voted like twice most corrupt member of Congress by this a watchdog group, and she didn't even care. She might now, but for most of her career, she did not live in the district that she represents, and that's a requirement. She had that black privilege, liberal black privilege. I'm sorry, it doesn't work for conservative. What's that?
Yeah, didn't she like rent some sort of ghetto apartment? Just to say she had a home.
Yeah,
there?
She didn't live there. She lived outside in a mansion.
But she lived in her luxury house outside.
Right. New York City braces for the Mamdani cash grab. That's from Liberty Nation News. Because he wants to raise taxes. And in order to raise income taxes, you got to go through the governor. And she said, we're not hitting, because, it's always, well, we got to tax the rich because they don't pay their fair share, even though they pay a lot of money. They pay more than their fair. It's like the top 1% everywhere in America pays like over 30% of the entire income tax burden. When 1% pays 30%, I don't give a shit how much they make. That they're paying their fair share. So he's now saying, well, the governor's she's not going to, do anything for tax increases. So we do have the ability to raise taxes on property taxes. So we're going to do that. So in other words, property taxes, this is communism, guys. Property taxes that are supposed to go towards what? Funding schools and maybe a couple other. He's going to use the entire cash grab for that to push his progressive agenda, his communist agenda. We warned you, New York. You didn't listen. Biden sabotaged efforts to stanch flood of illegal. I should be staunch, but it says stanch. To flood of illegal immigration. There was his CBP came up with ideas to stop it, and he said no, let it go. So in other words, it's not like, remember he said all along, well, I need Congress to act. Well, Trump didn't. He didn't need Congress to act because all the laws are already there. And here we found out that somebody was going to act, and he said no. New York's first free grocery store opens.
Good luck with that.
Remember when Mom Donnie said, we're going to have free buses? Well, they just raised it to $3 a ride. They just increased the price, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to show your whatever card they give you. You know, I'm a black communist, person of color. I get to ride for free. You know, I think how fucking crazy it is. All right, so here we go. Unpopular opinion. This guy writes, I'm sick and tired of the Epstein drama. I am too, but let's just get through it, right? Why exactly did they destroy the border? Victor Davis Hanson gives the perfect response to that. We have Trump returns to red Georgia with receipts. Yeah, it's because they're down in Fulton County. We did a video on it, and we did a couple stories on it as well. So here you go. From Lyman, Rubio takes Europe to task over its toxic cultural Marxism. He destroyed them. So I think he will run for president after Vance. He may be Vance's on the ticket. I don't know, but he should be. If the GOP wants to win midterms, it needs to pass the SAVE Act. They have to do it. But we got rhinos in the freaking Senate. They say we have the 50, okay? And Thune has pushed to have, he's the majority leader of the Senate. He has pushed to do a talking filibuster. So because now what they've been doing is the Democrats say, we just threatened to filibuster and the Republicans cower like a bunch of pussies. So we don't even need to stand up and talk. Well, now they're going to force them to. And
do you know, did you see who said she'd vote for it?
What, Collins?
Collins, yeah, Susan Collins.
Yeah, well, she's a Republican, so you would hope. But
Murkowski
said no. And who else said no? There's another rhino that said no. Murkowski said she's not. I forget what else is there. And you got to wonder why.
Get rid of her.
Yeah, you got to wonder why the hell is Murkowski doing that?
Yeah, Susan Collins, we got to keep because she can get elected.
Well, yes, and you know what else about Susan Collins that a lot of people don't know? Well, number one, she was the deciding vote for Kavanaugh, if you remember. So she came out and she gave this long speech where she sat there, where her office or whatever, wherever she was. She gave a speech. And she went through everything. She said this woman came in. People thought she was sincere, but then her story didn't add up. Said, the story didn't add up. So we don't believe half of what she said. And because this is such an important moment in our time that we need someone like Kavanaugh on the court. So my vote is yes. Like she gave a speech like that. And I was like, damn, I was pretty impressed with how she put it, even though she's a rhino. But the thing that most people don't know is that in Maine and some surrounding states, things don't happen unless she approves of it. She's got something going on in the state where she gets the right people in. In other words, there would be like libnuts like running the state. Like there's just regular Democrats running, but there would be real libnuts because they've tried, and she's able to staunch that. There's that word again. She's able to stop it somehow. I have to look into that. I'm going to do a story on. Here we go.
Just as an aside, I believe the correct spelling that is the correct spelling, but
Stanch? Okay.
But it's pronounced staunch. But I think that is the correct spelling.
Okay, cool. So here we go. What a traitor. Obama, the treasonous ex-president, says Trump crime crackdown, not our idea of America. Can you believe this shit? Now, the reason he's saying that, why do you think, Dr. J? Why do you think he's saying, well, going after crime and all, that's not our idea of America?
No, because he's got TDS and he's supporting everybody else who has TDS.
Well, that's one reason, but I think the real reason is because they're about to come down on his ass. I mean, DNI, Tulsi Gabbard came out and said like months ago, and it takes months to get things in working order down in DC, and it's about time. And they went into Fulton, but she came out and said, we have all the evidence now that Barack Obama set up the entire Russian collusion thing, that he disregarded his own intel community that told him Russia did not have the capacity to do such a thing to help either of our candidates. And he said, throw that away. And he called the heads of all the intel agencies that we have, NSA, CIA, the National Intelligence, whatever it is, and called them all together and the DNI and said, you got to make up a story about Trump. Because if we can't get him out, he was already elected at that point. If we can't stop him with a scandal and make him walk away, and it looks like he's not going to, then we got to destroy his reputation now so that he can't get anything through. And Barack Obama did that. And so now he needs bunch of the lefties. Yeah, that's right, man. It's not America to stop crime. And that's the sole reason I think he's doing it. Here you go. Trump judge, this isn't the judge, upholds satanic child abuser's lengthy prison sentence. This guy was a satanic child abuser, and he got a long prison sentence. And he tried to appeal for it, and they were like, no way. This asshole, ready? This is how insane the left has become. Detroit police chief moves to fire 2 officers for reporting illegal aliens to the feds. That's how insane the left has become. We're going to get into that. Here's that picture again. The mugshot, DNA swabs, and 1 phone call. How Andrew was treated like common criminal in 11 hours in custody after 8 a.m. arrest. Well, that's him when he got back into the car after he got released. And he's like, deer in the headlights. Look, U.S. surges largest Mideast air power since 2003 as Iran strike could come within days. I think maybe tomorrow. FCC chair Brendan, remember this shit that went on with Colbert with that Tamarico, whatever the hell his name is, the Democrat? Yeah. He got like $1.5 million from this bullshit scam, saying, the FCC, Donald Trump doesn't want this interview to air. Like the FCC is blocking him, right? Well, the FCC chair, he sets the record straight on Stephen Colbert censor. In other words, it's like, it has absolutely nothing to do with us. Like, no. But they did break the rules because the Democrats created, a long time ago, they created a thing called the Fairness Doctrine. Now it's called the Equal Time Act, I think. But it's the same thing. If a radio station, here's what they did, right? They came up with the Fairness Doctrine to screw with conservative talk radio. Because if you have a talk station, right, and you get conservative talk radio hosts in there, you're making hand over fist cash with the advertisements, right? So you get a liberal program, you hear crickets because nobody listens to liberal talk radio. All right, I'm sorry. I had 100,000. Really? We have that in the first 30 seconds, right? So liberal talk, I mean, think about it. They had to create Air America to get those lefties in there, and they didn't even do it. As a matter of fact, billionaires donated money for it because they couldn't get anybody to do commercials, to advertise on the network. They just couldn't, because who the hell wants to listen to that? Anti-American, I hate America bullshit, right? Everybody's a racist. It isn't me. All that bullshit. Well, they created this Fairness Doctrine, and then now the Equal Time Act that says if you have a conservative on, then you must give equal time to if he's a candidate, he must give equal time to the other side. So Colbert put this Tamarico, whatever the fuck is, I don't care, put him on, and did not bring in someone from the other side to give equal time, and he has nothing on his schedule. So Colbert did it just to help this guy so he could win and upset a Republican seat. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll be there to see it. So the cost of failure. Gavin Newsom's White House dreams, they take a pole dive. Here you go. She had a Joe Biden moment. Did AOC just end her political career? Yes, she did. And Trump rips her. Trump administration cancels CDC Vaccine Advisory Committee meeting. Right. He doesn't want it anymore because it's bullshit. And so the betrayal begins. UK, no offense, guys, we love you. We don't like your government. Just like nobody liked our Biden government. UK blocks Trump from using RAF air bases for potential Iran attack. That's that. What's his name? Your prime minister, Starner. What's his name? Help me out, guys.
Starner.
That's it. Yeah, man, I can't remember Jack today for some weird reason. I got to take my dog's real sick, and I got an appointment at 9:30 tonight. So right after the show, I'm going to take him over there. So that's like on my brain. So I'm not thinking. They just won't give it up. Representative Jaya Powell pushes transgender Bill of Rights to oppose cruelty of Trump policies. Yeah, the cruelty is if you were born with a tallywhacker, you go into the tallywhacker bathroom. If not, you go into the non-tallywhacker bathroom. And they think that that's just cruelty. Yeah, okay. I saw one. It was a photograph somebody took, and there was a father standing like this. He had a MAGA hat on. He's standing out, and it wasn't AI. He was standing outside of a bathroom when a tranny tried to walk in. The guy looked like a guy with purple curly hair and a skirt, but he looked like a man. Like, there's no question. And the guy's like, apparently the story went, you ain't getting in. I'm not letting you. I'm allowed to go in. Yeah, you can once my daughter's out of there. Well, I'm not going to do it. I don't care. You ain't going in. You got to go through me. And I can guarantee you won't be able to. Shit like that. Some parents are good riddance. Democrats plot boycott of Trump's State of the Union address with a lefty rally. So they don't like the fact that the halftime show that TPUSA beat them in the ratings, because they did. In fact, Bad Bunny lost over 7.5 million viewers during that. And people either turned it off or they went over to TPUSA. And I think they went over to TPUSA because TPUSA had good numbers. And that was only the first year. Think about this, guys. TPUSA is going to do that every year now. That's going to get,
because you know why? You know why? Because the NFL isn't going to learn anything.
Exactly. Roger Goodell, he said, well, we wanted to reach out to more people. Oh, so you do. The only marker now, right, for our country, it's the Super Bowl. It's the only thing now that everybody watches, right? Even the people with the blue hair, even the people who live in those little mud huts, they watch the Super Bowl. I don't know how, but they do. And yet they have to put on something that's, first of all, Puerto Rico's not a state, right? What is it, a territory? It's not a state, right? So they're going to put something on that's going to be done in a different language for the Super Bowl halftime show. Really? Oh, and they say we wanted to reach out to foreign languages or foreign lands, right? And it's like, okay, they're citizens. So what are you talking about? Like, they're automatic citizens because they're a territory. So what do you mean? That's not another country.
Yeah, but the NFL isn't going to learn anything. They're going to keep doing the same thing.
Yeah, Goodell, they got to get rid of him. So here we go. Awesome. If you didn't hear this woman, she's awesome. Grandma's fiery defense of Trump steals the show at Black History Month celebration. This woman's awesome. I love her. We'll play that. There you go. Democrats call to censure Representative Randy Fine for saying America will choose pet dogs over Muslim supremacy. Because it was this show that was, you'll see it. It's pretty good. And,
because Muslims don't like dogs.
Right.
They consider dogs unclean.
Right. We voted for this. Trump admin cancels visas for 100,000 foreign nationals who don't meet American standards. Yes, we have standards. And then we have the plethora of all the other crap. Hey, what's up, Linda? Good to see you. Did I miss anyone? Anglo, what's up? I'm scrolling up. Oh, wow. Anglo, God bless you, brother. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He says, look at the mayor of London, too, Rich. Another Muslim, great fallen cities, London and New York. Yeah, yeah. See, here's where I am with you guys, all right? I love you guys. Don't like your government at all. But I feel sometimes like, if because like when Biden was in, I did not like him even a little bit. But if somebody from another country made fun of my country, it's like, hey, wait a minute. He may be a warm diarrhea brains type of brain dead president, but he's our warm diarrhea brain dead. So I didn't want to offend you guys, but that's why I always, preface it with, it's not you guys, it's your government. And you're absolutely right, man. And you know what? We've had Trump say it. We've had J.D. Vance say it. And we've had Marco Rubio say it. Grow a pair of balls, you fucking leaders over there, and stop the Muslim onslaught. Stop it. Stop it now. Start kicking people out that aren't British and don't want to be. I mean, they're not English and they don't want to be. So kick them out. I don't know how or why NFL is so popular in the States. Slow, boring, wear body armor. Yeah, okay. All right, dude. All right. I wanted to, if you brought this up, you brought it up. Remember, okay? So you guys call football, it's soccer over here. You guys call that football, okay? If you think, hey, what's up? What's up, Pam? Good to see you. If you think that that soccer or your football is harder to play than our football, then I suggest you start watching more of our football. Now, I like watching soccer. Okay, I'm not downing soccer at all, but it's soccer. It's not football. And guys, you're going to laugh at me, but Rush Limbaugh said this, and I agree with him. Okay, years ago, he said the only profession in the United States that has more focus to do your job than anything else is the military. The next is the NFL, to play in the NFL. Because you think about how many players are there. You got all kinds of competition. They take the best of the best of the best. This is why most of them are conservatives, most of them. And because they're there to win. It's, conquer territory right at it, 10 yards at a time, Yeah. They don't wear cups anymore. I don't know. But I did when I played, trust me. But yeah, so I understand soccer's awesome. I like to watch it. My kids played soccer. My son was pretty good, my younger one. He was pretty good, but he was good at everything athletically. I had to live vicariously through him, right? Now he's a sniper in the Army. But football is a bitch, man. Trust me, it's not easy to play. You don't just run around and kick a ball. I get it. I'm just busting your balls because you keep busting the NFL. I love you, Anglo. You know that. All right. So let's see. Let me see. No balls to protect. All right. Nah, he knows. He knows I love him, right? So let's start off. Well, let's go here. So share this instead. Okay. So I'm going to pause it. So it says Mike Benz, who, if you don't know who he is, it's at Mike Benz Cyber. Okay. If you don't know who Mike Benz is, you should get on with Mike Benz. All right. Cause he's, you should follow him because he's really good. He used to work in government. And he still has people that like send him shit. So he knows everything. So he says, you should listen to every word. We're not going to listen to every word because it's almost 8 minutes, but you should listen to every word of this clip to understand the enemy you're up against. This is a confession of how an army of CIA personnel formed a group the day after Trump won election to try to use their special set of skills to undermine the government. So
start by telling us a little bit of the origin story of the Steady State.
This guy's a libnut on the
that
left.
Seems to be picking up steam, but has actually been around for quite some time now, I think back to 2016.
That's exactly correct. Well, we started in 2016, pretty much the day after the election of Donald.
All right, guys, I have to stop. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Rugby kicks NFL all day. Now, Hunter and Brown, I'll tell you what. We used to have a rugby team where I was growing up, right? I grew up in Philadelphia, Roxborough, Philadelphia, and we had a rugby team up at the Kendrick Recreation Center, and I used to go up there and watch it, like a lot. I liked it. But we used to laugh, though, when I got older. We'd watch it in the bar on TV and just say things like, why are both teams in the same huddle? Like, why did they just kick the ball their way? Like, stuff like that. But, yeah, they used to say you got to have leather balls to play rugby. So I agree with you there.
Rugby, and we were talking about Australian rules football last week.
Okay,
And those are two sports that are pretty rugged.
Yeah. Rugby is rugged. Yes, I'll give you that.
Donald Trump. Myself, I'm former CIA. I used to work also on Capitol Hill on the Intelligence Committee, as well as the Homeland Security Committee and the Judiciary Committees. And many of us, we call ourselves formers sometimes. I had kept in touch. We're sort of on the older side. So we had left government service. Some of us had retired. Some of us had gone into the private sector. And we were a group that was mostly drawn from CIA and the Department of State. Many of us had worked on issues in the Balkans at the end of the Clinton administration, and we liked each other. We kept in touch. We trusted each other. We were very concerned that we had just elected somebody who seemed remarkably unprepared to be commander-in-chief. And it really wasn't a political thing. In fact, many of us, I later found out, and I'll explain what I mean by later found out and why, had been Republicans. So it wasn't a party thing. It was we were worried that we had a president who was inexperienced and unsuited to be commander-in-chief. So what do we do? one of the good things about the American national security community, particularly its intelligence elements and diplomatic
So in
elements,
other words, hold on.
is sort of a professional
Let me
distinction.
stop this. So in other words, this asshole and every asshole in the CIA thinks, screw what the American people just did. We don't like it. So we're going to use our special skill sets to screw it all up. We're going to create a constitutional crisis that will last all 4 years and will ensure that he doesn't win re-election or get anything done. Now, he got a lot done. Even though, can you imagine if he didn't have to deal with our own intel assholes? And I hope they all go to prison because they're going after him now. I hope they all go to prison for what they did because they'll do it again. And in fact, they're going to do it again. But you know what, guys? Here's another one. I'm going to talk about this later. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the British government has already. It was Mike Benz again who talked about this because he got the inside scoop. The British government right now is recruiting other European countries. He's got like 5 already. They got, and what they're going to do is they're going to create laws, all of them, that will find the living shit out of American social media companies if they mention anything positive about whoever's going to take over for Trump. So if it's going to be J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, whoever gets the mantle, right? They're going to charge tens of billions of dollars if they allow it. Now, my point is, who the F do you think you are telling another country and a business in another country? So I would say, yeah. So if they're truly American, they should cut off. They should just cut. If they find them, fine, we'll cut you off. We're not going to allow you on our app.
That's what I'm sure. That's what Elon would do.
Right,
He'll
but
just
that's not going to. Well, Elon will, but that's not going to happen with the others. Facebook and all, Google. You think Google's going to give up other countries? I mean, the money that they could bring in from those other, they won't, because they were involved in the first time. They were involved in the steel, and they were I mean, think about it, Sergey, whatever his name was. After 2016, he gave a message to his people. He had them all come in the ones that were in the main building, and he said, "I'm just as upset as you are, the way this came out, and I promise you, we will go to every length to make sure that it never happens again." And they did. They did, with the censorship and whatnot. Yeah, the deep state blows. But they're and you know what? In a way, I can't really blame the social media companies if they do adhere to it. I can't, because we got a lot of social media companies that a lot of people don't even know about. There's MagaBook. All right, you can go on MagaBook. What the hell else is there? There's MeWe, right? They're not gonna adhere to that. What else is there? There's several that what's the other one? Post. Oh crap, I can't remember. But there's multiple ones that people use. I mean, they're constantly full of messages, and posts and everything, and they're not going to. So we can communicate through that. But they want to stop. They want to pull another 2020. They want to censor everybody. Like any social media company, they're going to find the shit of them if they don't censor anything that's said positive about J.D. Vance or negative about whoever's going to run.
Yeah, but people like Google and Facebook, they won't have to worry about it because they'll comply out the gate. Yeah, because that's they'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, here we go.
For getting involved in American domestic politics. Look, both the CIA and other entities, we're not flawless. We've had real problems over the years, but overall, we've learned from those problems, and we really don't want to be part of American domestic politics. So we were very hesitant to get involved in a way that was sort of active. But we felt we had to do something, and what we first decided to do was, let's just tell.
He doesn't explain what he means by we felt we had to do something.
Well, did you see what Commander said? Commander doesn't think he was ever in the CIA.
Who, this guy?
Yeah. Look at Commander's comments.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But I know that they all have that belief, because I've heard John Brennan say it. I even heard what's his name? Comey say it. We thought we had a serious threat that worked with the Russians. It's like, you freaking idiot. If you really thought that, you didn't deserve to be in your position in the first place. Especially after the intel came out and said that Russia just didn't have the capacity to do it. They're all full of crap. They're all trying to stay out of prison.
let's offer our
I'm on a
experience
minute.
and our professional expertise to the new administration in a nonpartisan way. And we wrote to the National Security Advisor designate, that was General Flynn, basically said, we're a bunch of formers and we know what we're talking about. We're all out of the government now. You have a tough job. We're here to help. We didn't get a response. He got fired a few weeks later, and then indicted. So
he was fired. See, this guy's an asshole. He was fired because, as the military DNI, I forget what the name of it. He was the head of all military intelligence. Okay, and they work inside the White House, and he spoke publicly about his disdain for the Iran deal because he read it. Unlike every other a-hole in the that has a comment about it, he read it and he said, "Look, in the appendix, it says that 15 years from the date of the signing, that Iran's allowed to have a nuclear bomb, and it does. It still says it. I read it. I downloaded it. I read it. I went, holy shit, there it is, and it says it. And plus, nobody ever signed it. Do you guys know that nobody signed the Iran deal? We didn't sign it. Iran didn't sign it." And yet Trump had to say, we're pulling out. Oh, he pulled out. Pulled out of what? There was nothing signed. Nothing signed. That's why Iran didn't get into any, they didn't have any problems when they violated what they would have signed almost right away. Yeah, it's unreal.
we wrote the same letter to General McMaster and never got a response. And
well, why would I'm done with this asshole. Why would they give a response to a bunch of formers? Hold on. I've never been in the military nor any government agency. Oh, sorry, dude. This service members in the UK have to sign the Official Secrets Act, right? How's this guy legit? Well, he's not. There's certain things that you can't talk about even after you get out. They sign NDRs themselves, right? We don't have like the Official Secrets Act, but we have the Espionage Act. And the Espionage Act says that if you take any documents like the way Hillary did, if you take any like the way Joe Biden did, if you take any like the way that the rest of them did, Obama did, and all, do you know Obama has classified documents in boxes, and he stores them in a old furniture store that's defunct? He literally wrote to the National Archives and told them, I want you to know that we got documents over there, and they're about the lounge chair, and nobody's going to get in there, right? And people are like, holy shit. Why didn't they go after him? But no, they go after Trump, right? Who did nothing wrong, right?
He forgot Pence. He had documents too.
Yeah, he did too. You know, and see these other guys, like except for like Pence, Biden when he was a senator. Come on, he doesn't. Only a president has the authority to have classified documents. And you know what? He doesn't have to go. They say, oh, he didn't go through the proper channels. Yeah, he did. He said. That's declassified. That's all the president has to do. How do we know that? Because it was Egan versus the U.S. Navy versus Egan. That's where the Supreme Court ruled that the president of the United States has the ultimate authority of classification and declassification. That does not have to go to anyone for permission to do either, and he could do it on a whim. You know, he doesn't have to sign it right away. Later on, he'll fill out a piece of paper, but he could just say, that's declassified. God, let everybody read it. He could do it if he wants to. All right. But a vice president didn't, and a senator didn't. And they broke the law. Hillary Clinton was a Secretary of State. Guess what? They don't have that right either. And they broke the law. All of them did. So let me go back. I'm going to close this. Let's see what we're going to do next. Share screen. All right. Here we go. This is the Brennan one. This is just the news, John Solomon's gig. So prosecutors zero in on CIA's. If anybody goes to prison, I want it to be this prick. This prick. Because he's still out there trashing Trump. Hey, we knew that he was colluding with Russia, even though it's been proven that not only did it not happen, but that they made it up. He was part of the people that made it up out of thin air. And he's still on it. You got to be a fucking lunatic to do that. So prosecutors zero in on CIA's Brennan with secret requests for years-old evidence from the U.S. Senate. Collusion, calumny? What is that?
Calumny.
Calumny. I never heard of that word. Yeah, I learn a new word every week. And consequences. A request to the Senate signals a possible longer-term conspiracy case seeking contacts with the Senate that stretch back nearly a decade. I know what it's about. Federal prosecutors who are probing the weaponization of intelligence and law enforcement against President Donald Trump and his allies have sent a secret and rare request for evidence from the U.S. Senate regarding former CIA Director John Brennan. He has I've never seen him smile, signaling that they are zeroing in on his questionable testimony going back nearly a decade on his now debunked efforts to tie Trump's 2016 campaign to collusion with Russia. The overtures of the U.S. Senate and its Intelligence Committee from the U.S. Attorney Jason A. Reading, Keone's team in Miami, began over the last month and were formalized in a written request for documents, transcripts, and testimony last Friday, according to multiple people directly familiar with the conversations. Senate lawyers and prosecutors are negotiating the best way to transfer the evidence, including because if you one chain of custody thing, the Dems will just take it to a judge, they'll get it thrown out. The efforts are complicated in part because much of what Brennan discussed in briefings dating to 2016 about alleged Russian interference efforts and now debunked allegations of Trump collusion are classified, stored in secure briefing rooms, and included evidence controlled by the nation's chief spy, the CIA. So Trump could say, all that shit, guess what? That's what he did. He wrote on January 20th, or January 19th, I'm sorry, on January 19th, 2020, or no, was it 2021? Yeah, January 19th, 2021, he wrote a presidential memorandum that said, all of the documents at Mar-a-Lago for Operation Crossfire Hurricane, I have declassified them, as is my right as president of the United States, right? And it goes beyond his presidency, right? So that's the stuff that they went to look for, the FBI, because they wanted to know what he had, and he had a lot. And I'm willing to bet he didn't have he had a lot of it hidden somewhere else that he has now. And he's allowed to do it because he was the president. The House Judiciary Committee last year formally referred Brennan, who oversaw the Obama-era CIA, for prosecution, alleging he gave false testimony in 2023 about his role in trying to bring the discredited Steele dossier into the intelligence assessment that suggested Russia tried to help Trump beat Hillary Clinton. Now, the thing is that Putin wanted Hillary over Trump because he said that Trump was like, they had no idea what he would do, right? Like they couldn't figure him out, right? Like which way would he go? Hillary, they knew they could buy her because they bought her already with that uranium, the Uranium One company, that deal. They bought her $145 million. They gave her, it was a phony donation to the Clinton Foundation, right? And because he wanted to corner the market on North American uranium. And it was a Canadian company, Uranium One, but they own 20% of our uranium. So Hillary, so they're he would help Putin. He's a puppet of Putin. Well, actually, Hillary Clinton was a fucking puppet of Putin. Wouldn't you say? I have 145 million reasons to say that. So the request to the Senate signals a possible longer-term conspiracy case seeking contacts with the Senate that stretches back nearly a decade. Brennan's last known testimony contacts with the Senate date to June 23, 2017 and May 16, 2018, two dates that extend outside the usual 5-year statute of limitations. Brennan did not respond to a request for comment sent to him through his lawyer. So in other words, we don't need to read anymore. They're going after Brennan every way they can.
Hey, share my screen real quick.
Sure. Where is it?
So, see, it's a real
Seriously?
word.
I know it is.
The making of false and defamatory statements about someone in order to damage their reputation.
Yeah.
Other words, slander.
Right. Let's see. There's an airport here in Canada named Stansfields. Same name as the underwear makes. So you have to watch out for skid marks. Oh, God. All right. Here we go. So let's get back into it. That's funny. So let's see. Judge blocks. Now there's evidence. extreme immigration problem. Yeah, there's no. Let's do this. Victor Davis Hanson, I believe he wrote it. No, it's Eddie Scari. All right, let me share this tab instead. So this is it's thefederalist.com. There is no moderate solution to the extreme immigration problem Democrats create. It's true. You think about it, guys. How fast is it for 10,000 people to run across the border, as opposed to getting 10,000 people to find them, arrest them, detain them, and deport them? All right. Millions upon millions, tens of millions came in. And now we've only got 3 million that went out since he took over, since Trump started again. The New York Times, the Daily podcast, mistakenly interviewed a reasonable voter on immigration last week. So it looks like they've swung hard in the other direction by inviting self-described moderate, Democrat Catherine Cortez Masto to balance things out with some old-fashioned anti-American insanity. The U.S. Senator from Nevada used the half-hour episode on Thursday to do what all Democrats in Congress do, which is to pretend to be interested in securing the border while attempting to complicate what it means to enforce immigration law. Quote, so what I've been talking about with my colleagues, and this is where Democrats need to be aligned, is that we are not saying completely defund ICE. She said, apparently unaware that at least 5 of her colleagues in Congress, including Ilhan Omar, called to abolish ICE, along with other elected Democrat officials. Quote, what we are saying is fund them to the level they traditionally were so that we're securing our borders. And we are also working in our communities with local, no, you're not, law enforcement to go after violent criminals under the immigration justification that they have. No, your sanctuary cities, you explicitly say that you, think about it. In Detroit, we just read the headline that the chief of police he's going to fire 2 police officers because they turned in illegals to ICE. Are you kidding me? So she's nuts, just like the rest of them. Is there a video to go with this? Because I'm not going to read anymore. We don't need to. So in other words, they're trying to bullshit you and think, oh yeah, we're for getting these illegals out of here, but not those illegals or even those illegals there. But we're for illegals to get. Jesus Christ. So let's go down to here. Let's do Brandon Gill.
The one about Iran right below that might be good.
Yeah, I'm going to do Brandon Gill right now. Just one. I'll do that next. So this is from Liberty Daily. Brandon Gill outlines how feds will carry out a 2-front fight against anyone funding Antifa. Yeah, because Kash Patel made an announcement. Yeah, we absolutely have the funding sources now. We're going to go after them. So Soros is in trouble for once. Republican Texas Representative Brandon Gill said Thursday that Congress and federal law enforcement will wage a 2-front fight against organizations that fund Antifa. FBI Director Kash Patel said on the Dan Bongino show that the FBI has uncovered significant funding streams tied to Antifa, which is just an idea, right, guys? Isn't that what Warm Diarrhea Brain said? It's just an idea. And is conducting a financial probe that could lead to new enforcement actions targeting those backing the group. Gill said on the Evening Edit that lawmakers plan to hold hearings to investigate whether nonprofit organizations are using tax-free status to funnel money into political violence linked to Antifa. It's just crazy.
Lose their tax-exempt status, their tax-free status. Will that be the focus of it? Will you guys basically point out, George Soros's groups? There's a bunch of that big network that is funding these Antifa riots. Will you name names, try to call them in, and do you think that the Justice Department and rather the Treasury Department with the IRS, will they audit these groups and revoke their tax-free status?
Yes, absolutely. That is the goal here. The goal is if these organizations are getting tax-free benefits and they're engaged in political activity illegally, that status needs to be revoked. And we need to do that in a very clear and public way. The purpose of these hearings is to get the information so that we can make that determination. But secondly, I think that if you have these organizations that are funding illegal activity in the United States, people need to be held. People need to go to jail for that. That is a much broader criminal conspiracy that needs to be dealt with. So I do think this is a 2-front fight for us. It is going after organizations that are engaged in illegal political activity. but also going after organizations that are funding illegal activity in general, these riots, and those people need to be held accountable as well.
Sounds like
Now, what's interesting, you saw there on the left was Trump, and I believe he was down in Georgia. And the thing going on in Georgia right now is funny because you got two Republicans in high office. You have Brad Raffensperger, who is the Secretary of State, and you have Brian Kemp, who's the governor, and they're Republicans, and they're the problem. They are the problem. Raffensperger caused problems for the 2020 election by getting into he got into a consent decree with Stacey Abrams, the woman who could eat corn on the cob through a picket fence, right? Well, he changed the law, which is illegal. I mean, Article 1, Section 4 says that only a state legislature can, right? For state elections, and here he changed the election law to satisfy her, to get her to shut her mouth about voter suppression, all that wasn't happening. But they changed how ballot signatures were going to be verified, and that could have been one of the big reasons that cost the election. But besides the rest of the stealing and the rest of the cheating that they did, that friend of mine, Mark Davis, the guy we bring on all the time to interview him, he's involved in this part of it now, or he gave his information over to the people, the feds that are down there. He was interviewed by two FBI agents in the Atlanta FBI office, and they had a assistant U.S. attorney on the phone, and he thinks they're really this time going to go after them. And I would love to see that, because when you can't even trust your own side, right? And so the rest of what Brad Raffensperger did was try to cover his own ass for the things that he did to help the Democrats, because we also lost 2 Senate seats because of that same blunder that he made. And now, for whatever reason, I don't know why Brian Kemp is supporting him. I have no idea why, because Kemp is the governor. He has nothing to do with the elections, right? That's the Secretary of State. I really don't know what the hell's going on there, but somebody's going down in Georgia. We know that. So what did you want to do? The which one?
I'd like to see the Iran
what, the strike back thing?
Yeah.
All right, this one, cool. We'll do that. This is based underground. How Iran plans to strike back is the part of, by the way, David, how you doing? Good to see you. He's on Facebook. If you come to the I'm going to put the link on Facebook so they can see everybody else. Hang on. Let me go there. Where am I? Do this. Hang on. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put the link. If you guys want to talk to everybody else in YouTube, just come on over. You got a bunch of people in the chat. There you go. So anyway, where was I? Yeah. So how Iran plans to strike back is part of the equation that people should be focusing on. So in order to understand what those running Iran intend to do, it is important to put yourself in their shoes. If someone was planning to kill you, how far would you go to save your own life? For many people, there isn't anything that would be off the table in such a scenario. I know I would. When it is a matter of life or death, what really matters to you becomes really very clear, okay? For the nuts that are in control of Iran, survival is everything. They have already shown they're willing to gun down tens of thousands of their own citizens in order to ensure the survival of the regime. Now a major U.S. military operation is looming, and the Iranians fully understand that the coming conflict is for all the marbles. When the missiles start flying, there is nothing that they won't be willing to do to protect themselves. According to the Wall Street Journal, which I don't trust anyway, President Trump is now considering an initial series of military strikes on Iran, which would be designed to force it to agree to his demands. If that didn't work, it would be followed by a broad campaign against regime facilities, potentially aimed at toppling the Tehran regime. It says President Trump is weighing an initial limited military strike on Iran to force it to meet his demands for a nuclear deal, like a real one, not the phony one that Lurch did for Obama. A first step that would be designed to pressure Tehran into an agreement, but fall short of a full-scale attack that could inspire major retaliation. The opening assault which, if authorized, could come within days, would target a few military or government sites. People familiar with the matter said, if Iran still refused to comply with Trump's directive to end its nuclear enrichment, the U.S. would respond with a broad campaign against regime facilities, potentially aimed at toppling the Tehran game. You would think after like the strike that he just did, that they would learn, but no. Now they're blocking all the oil from coming through. The Iranians have already pledged to respond to even a limited strike with tremendous force. Good, then we give even more tremendous force. In fact, the Iranians just sent a letter to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, warning that all bases, facilities, and military assets of the enemy will be legitimate targets if war breaks out. In particular, the Iranians have been talking a lot about potentially sinking a U.S. aircraft carrier. Good luck with that. This week, I think they're sending the Gerald Ford, which is the most in the world. It's the most modern ship of all, and it's over there. This week, even the Ayatollah brought this up. Iran's supreme leader has threatened to sink any American aircraft carriers sent to the Middle East as talks in the country's nuclear buildup were held in Geneva. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei ramped up tensions between the two countries as he told followers, quote, "The U.S. president keeps saying our military is the strongest military in the world. The world's most powerful military can sometimes receive such a slap that it can no longer stay on its feet. They constantly say, we have sent an aircraft carrier towards Iran. Okay, of course, an aircraft carrier is a dangerous device, but more dangerous than the carrier is the weapon that could send it to the bottom of the sea." Yeah, good luck. Once the shooting begins, I believe that the U.S. Abraham Lincoln and the USS Gerald Ford will be primary targets. Right. I have been reading stuff from people that are absolutely convinced that there is no way that the Iranians could ever sink a carrier. However, hopefully they are right. But I do know that the Iranians make some of the best military drones in the world. Yeah, and we can see them all and we can take them out very quickly. If hundreds of Iranian drones were sent at a carrier all at once, what would happen? We'd have to destroy them all at once. I also know that the Chinese have supplied the Iranians with some of the best anti-ship missiles on the entire planet. So let's see what happens. In addition, as long as they didn't send them those hypersonic missiles, in addition to hitting U.S. targets, the Iranians have also repeatedly threatened to strike Israeli cities. We saw what older Iranian ballistic missiles could do during the 12-day war, and now Iran is feverishly producing a brand new generation of ballistic missiles that will be exceedingly difficult to intercept. Did they ever hear of Gaza? You think these crazy motherfuckers in Iran would just like, just say, all right, dude, all right, we'll calm down. Earlier this month, the guy wrote the brand new Karamin 4 ballistic missiles that can travel at speeds up to Mach 16 outside the atmosphere and Mach 8 within it. All right, if one of those missiles carrying a 1,500 kiloton conventional warhead comes slamming down on a major Israeli city, it will do tremendous amount of damage. But what if it was carrying something else instead? All right, we've been warned that Iran has been working on chemical and biological warheads for the ballistic missiles. We don't have to read anymore. What's going to happen is Iran right now, they have to shake their sabers, right? Hey, what's up, Streaky Bacon? How you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you again, man. Audrey, let's see. Jobs created in GDP numbers. 3 years, 3 million jobs to 2.9%, 2 million jobs. Okay, thanks a lot. Let's see. Jobs created.
Data.
Yeah, really. Data. Ooh, data. Yeah. All right. Let's do the next one. Let me see. What's this? Let's close that. Let's bring this up. We got to do a lot of house cleaning here. All right, cool. Here we go. So, Lahana Omar. Yeah, we already know what she wants. Yeah, I want to read this one. Breitbart. Pennsylvania high school principal shuts down student anti-ICE walkout. Yeah. Good. A high school principal in Pennsylvania is earning praise for shutting down a student anti-ICE protest walkout, telling students that their rights don't supersede the school. It's exactly right. In a video going viral on X, Wilson High School principal Daniel Weber is seen in front of a group of students toting Mexican flags, who had walked out of school with the idea of forming an anti-ICE protest. I'm sick of these freaking lefties that hold up foreign flags in our country saying, we want to stay. Here's my Mexican flag, but we want to stay. Well, what the hell is that? Quote, if you go back to class, then we're good. If you stay out here, we will get your names and you will be suspended, okay? Weber's heard telling the angry students. Oh, good. We got a video? No, it says watch. Where the hell's the video? That's not the video. No, it's something else, whatever that is. Oh, to view video. Jeez. View on Twitter. Oh, that's the weirdest. All right. There we go.
Come back to class and we're good. If you stay out here, we will get your names. You will be suspended. Okay? That is your option at this point because you are operating outside the bounds of what was granted. That event was canceled. You left school without.
They're arguing.
You left school without permission. Your rights do not supersede the school.
Right on.
So if you understand that, that is your option. If you wish to return, Dr. Damiani will let you in that door over there.
They're going, no, I'm not coming back in. Yeah, well, then you're going to fail.
Okay? Those are your options. What are we doing? All right? Your rights do not exceed that of the school.
Right. I mean, guys, what in the hell? Their parents should be bitch slapped for raising their kids to behave that way. Honestly.
Yeah, really.
Honestly. Good Lord. Are you doing well? See, there's no way to guess. That said good day. What? Are you doing Welsh? That's me. I'm Welsh. Bobbity, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. I didn't see you there for a sec. Oh, you just came in. Nice. Good, man. Green Nutters. Okay. That's funny. All right, let's go back. What's next? What other? We're getting into Prince Andrew.
Oh, do we want to talk about him?
Yeah, we do. Bombshell. Jeffrey Epstein files that led to ex-Prince Andrew's arrest include confidential government briefs. This isn't going to be about the sex trafficking and all that crap. All right. This is going to be about how I think he sent military data, confidential memorandums and whatnot to Epstein. Another treason, guys. He committed treason. The former Prince Andrew, does he get a little symbol now? He's formerly known as Prince Andrew. The former Prince Andrew is accused of betraying the UK by sharing confidential information with Jeffrey Epstein and his pals, and files that were recently released by the U.S. Justice Department culminated in his arrest Thursday. In one of the emails from October 2010, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor forwarded official reports to Epstein sharing the details of his visits to mainland China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Vietnam with the disgraced financier. On Christmas Eve 2010, he also messaged Epstein and sent him a confidential briefing about investment opportunities in Afghanistan, where the UK government was funding reconstruction in Helmand province. The emails are released by the DOJ show. Attached is a confidential brief produced by the provincial reconstruction team of Helmand province for international investment opportunities. What's this? A young girl? Yeah, look at this. That was him when he got into the vehicle after they released him from jail. There you go.
Never thought I'd see that happen.
I know. I didn't either. I honestly didn't. But you know what? This shit that was going on between Starmer and the King. Okay, I'm on the King side. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I'm on the King side because they said, well, it's just he doesn't have any power. Nay, he does too. All right, he has a moral obligation, according to the law. Now, you guys will know better than me, but he has a moral obligation to make sure that the government is working within the confines of its own constitution. And that's why he stepped in. And I say, way to go. So that's why he stepped in. But here we go. So I didn't think it would happen either. To quote, I'm going to offer this elsewhere in my network, including Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi. Is that what it is? Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi.
Lord. Would be these names. Come on, guys. Would be, and it's funny because it's a joke, but it's Christianity, right? Like, how did Jesus in the Mideast find like 12 guys with normal British names? Andrew, right? Thomas, right? Matthew, okay? But we got all these names, but would be very interested in your comments, views, or ideas as to whom I could also usefully show this to attract some interest. So he's using government information to make money. Okay. Like that yearly stipend that comes from the crown, or from the government. Right? That's not enough anymore. I have sadly found out that Gates Foundation doesn't do anything in Afghanistan, he concluded, referring the nonprofit set up by Bill Gates, who has come under renewed fire over Epstein ties as well. At the time, Andrew was a trade envoy who had a duty to keep trade secrets confidential, according to government rules. Well, he turned that duty into real duty, right? Andrew and Epstein also planned to launch a business together in China. During his time as trade envoy, after Epstein had been convicted of child sex crimes, other emails appear to show. Business discussions between the pair, conducted through a liaison called David Stern, appeared to continue for more than 5 years after Epstein's release from prison. 5 years, guys. Andrew previously claimed in an infamous BBC interview that he had cut off ties with Epstein in December 2010. 5 years. In July 2010, Stern sent an email to Epstein discussing setting up a private wealth management company with offices in London and Beijing. Quote, "We very discreetly make PA, Prince Andrew, part of it and use his aura of access." Wow. So he allowed himself to be used, just like who? Joe Biden, right? Andrew also allegedly used his trade envoy position to send confidential information to his close friend, Jonathan Rowland, former chief executive of Luxembourg's bank, Haviland, I guess. Emails appear to show in February 2010, Andrew asked his then deputy private secretary, Amanda Thirsk, to obtain, there's no third or fourth, to obtain an internal British government memo about Iceland's financial crisis. Andrew's arrest is separate from the allegations about his involvement in Epstein's trafficking operation. Exactly. That's why we could read it. I knew there was nothing nasty in there. Oh, I want to play The View now. The shrew, which is what I call them. So the setup is this. This woman on the right, I think she's a conservative, but she basically said, look, Trump's not a racist. And Sunny Hostin, wait do you see how she behaves? Oh, my goodness. The way she behaves. Is this the video or is it further down? Let's see. I think it's further down. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. No. It's got to be that one then. Okay. So let's play it. Here we go.
When it comes to the event that happened yesterday, what's so hard for me to witness is people stating that the president is a racist, because I've seen him firsthand. He saved one of my best friend's lives, a black woman who has been with him for 18 years. So he has a black friend. He's a racist. No, he saved her
tell us how
life.
He's a racist.
No,
you can't.
He did.
Okay. He's a racist. Here's the problem, Savannah.
Well, there's a problem.
And why we have a different take on it. Many of
us
have a different take on it. Because when you target DEI programs with executive office.
So now, targeting a program that says, we're not going to look at your merit, like what you've done in life. You could have been a total screw up your whole life, but because you're a person of color, we're going to give you the job. So that makes him a racist. Do you see how that works, guys, in the leftward land of silliness?
Yeah, you see, but they're saying it all upside down, because what they're actually saying is that minorities can't get ahead without the help of liberal white women.
That's exactly right. But they justify it subconsciously, if you will. They justify it by saying, well, because the world's completely racist. And so they know that's why they can't get that job, because racists are holding them back. Do you ever hear of a term called institutional racism? They use it all the time. Institutional racism is a term that is used by liberals when an actual racist cannot be identified that explains a person of color not achieving. So they call, it's institutional racism. Really? What institution? How? They don't care.
With executive orders, your first week in office, arguing that the policies undermine national unity.
Look at Sunny Hostin.
You know, call a thing. Donald Trump is a racist. There's no question in my mind. It's time to say the truth and tell it like it is.
You know, he could sue her ass for saying that.
And the most recent thing that he did by posting on Truth Social, the Obamas depicted as apes.
Right, and that was
The
already
Lion King,
was
where there
already
are no apes
explained.
in the Lion King.
Okay,
That
He
was
didn't
stop
post
there
it.
for a second.
Yeah,
Here's my
go ahead.
here's
You got
my
it.
comment about that.
Yeah.
You guys just spent 10 plus years calling him Hitler,
Right.
a despot,
Yeah.
a Nazi terrorist, a Nazi Führer.
Right. Called him a rapist, called him a bad businessman, called him all kinds of shit. A Russian collusionist, pedophile, all that shit.
And if you weren't incensed at all of that, then you have absolutely no ground to stand on when he pulls what admittedly was a very crude joke, which didn't even come from him, apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
So he pulls a crude joke like this, and now you're upset.
Yeah.
But calling somebody Hitler,
right.
calling him
See,
Mussolini, calling him a pedophile, calling him a rapist, calling
I'll
him
go even further. I'll go even
felon.
further, Jade. I'll go even further. I think by them saying all the things that you just exposed is why he got shot in the ear.
Yeah.
Is why the lunatics just want to kill him because they hear this shit and they go, "Oh, if this guy's really Hitler, like he's the equivalent of Hitler, oh, somebody's got to take him out. I'll be that somebody."
Listen,
I literally believe that.
I'll go further
They're
than that
nuts over
even.
there.
If what they were saying was true, it would be every patriot's duty
That's right.
to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So let's continue this.
a racist act. He tried to blame a staffer. A staffer did not do it.
No, the staffer did do it. Look, a lot of time, like for Joe Biden, I don't think Joe Biden ever sent a tweet out in his entire warm diarrhea brain's life. Okay. He had people that did that. All right. But they say that it was a staffer that did this because there's times where like, tweets go out and Trump's live on TV and you're like, all right, how did he do that? You know, this is before you could schedule them, right? They're like, how did he do that? He's on TV. I don't see him typing, right? He's not doing it because staffers are doing it. He had it taken down.
President Trump is a racist.
He is not.
Who put that clip of the Obamas there.
Oh, well, that's that. Yeah, it's the shrew.
5 harpies in a table.
There you go.
That's what I always call it.
You're right. Larry Elder. You're right, Chris. Thank you, brother. Larry Elder's debunked that systemic racism bullshit. Think about this. When he ran in the recall election, when he ran against Gavin Newsom, what did they call him? The black face of white supremacy. That's what they called Larry Elders. I used to listen to his radio program all the time, but then Rush came along. But yeah, he's a good guy. But I think he would have done a hell of a better job than Gavin Newsom.
Well, you couldn't do worse.
I know. But I think he would have brought conservative policies in that would have helped California.
Yeah, but you're setting a pretty low bar with
right.
Newsom.
Well, California used to be a red state. I mean, solid red. Reagan 2 times. But then Reagan screwed it up. I'm sorry, he did. He gave them amnesty, and they all flooded to California, and it's been a single-party state ever since.
But if it is Gavin Newsom in 2028, I want to see all the GOP up there going, hey, Gavin Newsom, let him do for the country what he did for California.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know what? A lot of people, I'm talking like Mary the Toothbrush, Joe the Front Porch Average Americans, right? They don't know that Gavin Newsom's an idiot. They go, oh, look at him. He's a good-looking guy. He doesn't read a teleprompter. You know why, guys? Did you hear that shit? It was, who was it that said it? It was Ted Cruz. And I might get the particulars mixed up, but you'll get it. Ted Cruz said something about Gavin Newsom saying that he appears like a something, right? With reading, like he's a retard or something, right? And Gavin Newsom has severe dyslexia. Okay, he can't read. He can't read because he can't read. He's got really bad. So what he does is he memorizes speeches. He's really good at that. Right? So he doesn't have to have, I don't use a teleprompter. Yeah, because you can't read, right? And there's nothing, I'm not downing him for it. I'm just saying that they came out and said, oh, for him to make for Ted Cruz, that's the lowest of the low to go against a disability of dyslexia. And Cruz came back and said, I didn't say XYZ. I said this, you idiot. And it was like Gavin Newsom just looked like a fool again. I'll have to find that and read it to you. But hang on a second. Ted Cruz. Dyslexia. Let's see. He said he's historically illiterate. That was it. I gotta play this guy. Sorry. Let's play this. The video. He said you're historically illiterate, and they came back and said for him to make fun of somebody with dyslexia. And he goes, no, I said you were historically illiterate, you idiot. Here we go.
Is Gavin Newsom comparing American law enforcement to Nazis?
Yep. Which, by the way, it is what Obama was doing too. By the way, just like AOC and Whitmer, Newsom is apparently thoroughly historically illiterate. He said we've never seen National Guards federalized.
Now, did he say anything about him not being able to read with this? No, he said he's historically illiterate, right?
In the States. I guess his history book does not discuss the civil rights movement. He's never heard of a president named Dwight D. Eisenhower. Right. He's never heard of sending the National Guard into southern states when Democrats. Who refused to desegregate schools, resisted. Eisenhower sent the National Guard in.
Democrats for years blocked black children from going into public schools. And now the Democratic Party is blocking black children from getting the hell out of failing schools and going to better schools.
The pattern is the same. In this instance, you have Democrats who are saying we refuse to comply with federal immigration law. Then you had in the 50s and 60s, you had Democrats saying we refuse to comply with civil rights law. In both instances, it is lawless Democrats attacking law enforcement. Gavin Newsom is proudly following the tradition of Bull Connor, another Democrat politician.
Yeah. And they complained. I want to see where they complained.
Yeah, who was it? The governor, was it George Wallace, who was sent the National Guard to try and keep the kids out of the high school?
Yeah, it was Eisenhower. It was down in Arkansas.
No. The guy was it Wallace? He stood in the doorway, not letting.
Oh, yeah. I think it was Wallace. I think you're right. I think it was.
I think it's George Wallace.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, here we go. The Trump's no-nonsense DC crackdown tops 10,000 arrests as DOJ declares era of unchecked violence is over. So we'll just read a little of this. President Donald Trump's Make DC Safe and Beautiful Task Force, I love the names he gives, has made more than 10,000. Can you imagine there were 10,000 criminals on the streets of DC that just destroyed the city? It made it so that you couldn't go outside. All right. Arrests since it launched its August 2025 and recovered more than 1,000 illegal firearms from the streets of the nation's capital. What an embarrassment. The Democrats rule DC. I don't care who's in power. They rule the city, right? I don't think they've ever had a Republican mayor. I could be wrong, but not in my memory, right? And yet they let it go to shit. The nation's capital, and Trump said that when he said we're gonna make it better. He said, "Look," he goes, "it's a great capital city." He goes, "We've got beautiful monuments and statues, et cetera, and buildings and all." He said, "But it's crap because the Democrats let it go to crap, and that's why they hated him for saying what he said because he blamed them." Well, who else is he going to blame? Himself? President Trump's federal surge in Washington, D.C. has saved lives and helped restore our nation's beautiful capital city for all Americans to enjoy. I mean, think about it. People come from other countries and they want to visit D.C., right? Why? I don't know. But they want to visit D.C. Look at the Washington Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, the monument, all that crap, right? They want to go there and see all that.
Yeah, but you can't without getting mugged.
I know. So it's like it's a shithole city. Now it isn't anymore. Now they clean, and you know what? From what I'm reading, now that they cleaned up all the crime, people are cleaning their neighborhood because they're able to. They're out there sweeping their stoop again, getting the graffiti off shit. That's the nation's capital that the Democrats didn't give a rat's ass about. You know why? Because they come in limos and they don't have to get out of the limo till they're parked underground somewhere. And then they got police escorts, marshals, or Secret Service if you're like very high up in Congress. So they didn't give a shit. Right? It's just that's the way it's been with Democrats since they've been Democrats. So thanks to the brave work of is that Gady? These names tonight, Gady Seralta marshals, our other DOJ components, and our great federal partners, we have proven that tolerating crime is a policy choice. We choose public safety. That's exactly right. Tolerating crime is a bad policy choice. And you know what it is? Democrats just, we don't give a shit about them. We care about everybody else's money. We don't care about their money. That's the way they think. As of Thursday morning, the task force has carried out 10,018 arrests and recovered all those firearms. So, in other words, it's working. So, lib nuts, shut the hell up. We don't want to hear from you. Oh, here we go. Here's the one. Obama. I laughed when I read this. So, we now know what happened when Obama found out Trump won in 2016. He cried. Oh, he cried. Let's just admit something right out of the gate. The image of Barry Obama and Susan Rice sitting in the White House, stunned and reportedly crying after Trump won in 2016, is so incredibly delicious. It really is. You can just see it, right? The total disbelief, panic, and the "this can't be happening" energy. This should warm the cockles of any patriot's heart. According to newly compiled audio and video archived by Columbia University as part of the Obama Presidential Records Project, Obama and Susan Rice were reportedly so shaken by Trump's win that they broke down in front of staff, crying their eyes out in a raw moment of desperation. It's so darn satisfying. Now, let me break here. I think it's because they were so convinced that Hillary was going to win that they didn't clean anything up. They knew, like you always say, Jay, they knew that all that shit would have been swept right under a Hillary rug. And we never found out anything. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, they were so convinced Hillary had already shopped for new wallpaper and curtains.
Yeah, exactly, man. They thought that they were going to be all right. And all of a sudden, he wins, right? And that's November. They got 2 months to clean all that shit up. Right. So what did they do? They didn't have the time. So what did they do? We now know that you can't delete stuff because there's a record of that. And if you delete that, man, well, Biden started deleting the Wayback Machine. He was deleting the past, is what he was. All right.
Wasn't it after the 2015 election that they had all of these big document disposal trucks showing up outside of various government buildings?
Right. But here's the thing, though, right? So Trump comes in and they got 2 months. He's president-elect for 2 months. And they're like, holy shit, because they know that real soon, sooner than 2 months, the transition team's coming in and they're going to go over stuff. Right. And I think Trump said something like, don't shred any documents, don't leave everything behind. Like he warned them. Right. So what did? They put most of the evidence in burn bags in a hidden room, right, in the White House. And they forgot to burn the bags. So apparently our side found them. And that's how Tulsi Gabbard had all that data. They were going to burn the data. Barack Obama was going to commit felony after felony and burn the fucking data. Right. Because he couldn't declassify, because then he would have to say he declassified. What'd you declassify? Because you don't declassify things to get rid of it. You declassify things so people can see it. Right? Oh, crazy, man. So, according to newly completed, the moment, it's so darn satisfying. Paul Sperry, who's pretty good. Breaking: President Obama and his national security advisor were so distraught, they literally broke down and cried in front of White House staff, according to 1,100 hours of new audio and video compiled by Columbia University in cooperation with the foundation. So after all they'd built, they feared their accomplishments were at risk of being torn down by a con man and a clown. Ergo, Trump had to be stopped. And that's right. Think about it. All the stuff that Obama did, like think about all the years that remember Michael Obama kept saying, this is for the first time in my life, I'm proud of my country. They were going to elect him. Think about it. everything that they did, and within 6 months, Obama didn't exist because Trump threw it all out, just like he did with warm diarrhea brains Joe Biden. Right? It's gone. Right? You didn't even Barack who? You didn't even know, except for all the corruption that they didn't catch the first time around that they're catching now. Right? But think about that. And they're like, oh, he's a con man. He's a clown. Yeah, guess what? He did a better job than you jackass. So, but here's the part that actually matters. What happens when the most powerful people in the world experience that kind of shock and raw emotion? When the political future they were certain of totally collapses in one horrific night. Does it stay an emotional moment, or does it turn into something much darker? Because we can't ignore one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history, Spygate. It's real. The tears are on the surface. They're the start of this whole mess. Sure, this over-the-top emotional reaction is the big headline, but the real story, the one that still hangs over American politics like unfinished business, is what was already happening before Trump ever took the oath of office. There is documented evidence that we now have. There's documented evidence that from November 2015 through April 2016, elements inside of the Obama administration working through the FBI under James Comey and Andrew McCabe. McCabe was the deputy FBI director, were conducting surveillance that targeted Trump. An NSA compliance officer discovered irregular querying activity. And now I thought that was Mike Rogers, Admiral Mike Rogers from the NSA. He saw it. That discovery was reported to NSA Director Admiral Mike Rogers. You can tell I don't read these beforehand. Rogers then restricted FBI access and notified the FISA court. See, what happened was the NSA has the largest database for political stuff, government stuff in the world, right? And the military uses the same database, but Rogers actually came in one day and he saw this report that we're talking about. He saw it and he goes, what the hell is this? It's like there's so many hits going on the database, so many queries. And so he starts looking it up, and he had companies that were not government, but that's not unusual. The government enters into contracts with data companies or companies that need the data to do government contracting work, right? They got, they sign all the forms and all that shit. So he saw that it was just way too much. So he shut it down. What they were doing was Comey was having his people, and Obama hired companies that in secret were hitting because they were trying to find any dirt the government had on Trump. And they were going to use the dirt that they found to totally make him look like a freak show and that he shouldn't become president, right? But apparently they panicked when Rogers shut it down. Now, Mike Rogers, who's working for Obama, right? He traveled to the Trump Tower and he goes up and makes an appointment to see Donald Trump. And he did. And he told them they are spying on you. They were hitting the NSA database. And he asked him, why are you telling me that? He goes, because I work for the United States. I don't work for Barack Obama, and I wouldn't work for you. And I think Trump said something like, I want you on my team, something like that, right? So he went over and rats out all this shit that's going on. So Comey had to come up with something different, and that was the FISA court. Because they were doing this shit out in the open, they figured, okay, if we can get into the FISA system, all right, then we can, because in the FISA system, it's a secretive system because it's going against terrorists, okay, foreign terrorists. And so the Democrats, they're domestic terrorists, but foreign terrorists, right? So when you do that, you don't have to show, because anybody in the FBI can look up a case and see what you're doing if you need the info, right? You don't need to fill shit out for most of it. There's different levels, but in a FISA court, you got to get a court order in order to be able to look up what these guys are doing. It's that difficult. It's that secretive. So that's why they had to get into the FISA court. So they used the phony dossier to do that. And then when they got the FISA, they got it on Carter Page because they have a thing called the 2-hop rule. In the government, the 2-hop rule says if you have a FISA warrant to surveil someone, then the 2-hop means anybody that person talks to, you can surveil them as well. All right. Well, what did Carter Page do? He was involved in the Trump campaign in 2016, which meant, and his position, it meant he talked to everybody. So they went after Carter Page so that they could just, it was open season on going after all these people that Carter Page spoke to. And then they tried to trash Carter Page when he did nothing wrong. I mean, the whole thing was just a cluster F. And so that's why they freaked out when Mike Rogers turned them in. All right, so this became known as Spygate, and this is totally separate from the Russia hoax that dominated headlines for 4 absurd years. One was an unproven fake allegation of collusion, but Spygate was the Obama admin using intelligence tools against political opposition, which you don't do. This thread walks through the whole chain of events, the surveillance activity, the NSA, we're not going to read it, the NSA compliance officer flagging it, and Admiral Mike Rogers cutting off FBI access. It also goes over the notification to the FISA court. That's why I think the FISA judges were in on it. I think they knew that the dossier was garbage, and they just, yeah, sure, you can do it. I think they were in on it. I never, before that happened, I never thought judges would be that effed up that they would be in on like the left-wing commie shit. All right. But after that, you know they are. And the redacted opinion that quietly confirmed the database had been misused. The one thing that's still missing is the full notice Rogers sent to the court, spelling out exactly who was searched and how often. So that they deviated a little bit, but Brock cried. Yeah, because he knew that everything he did was going to be exposed. That's awesome, though. Yeah, I think. Let's see. What am I missing here? Hey, Special K, what's up, man? Don't call me, bro. Cool. Let's see. Strange looking data calling a query. 8,000. Let's see. What else we got? Irregular querying. It's query theory, right? Let's see. I'd love to see Lowe's prime minister. Oh, cool. You guys are talking. Nice. Lowe's. See, I go to Lowe's when I need hardware stuff. Here's one. Canadians, I feel your pain, man. This is on Canada.
You're going to need to read the feel-good story of the week after this one.
Yeah, I know. 26-year-old seasonal depression sufferer was euthanized by the government of Canada. Say it ain't so, Commander. Fingers crossed. These are, man. Oh, cool. Let's see. He could be your Trump. There are stories you read that make you stop in your tracks because you can't believe what you're seeing. And then there are stories that make you stop and ask, what on earth is happening to an entire country? This one is both. Canada's Medical Assistance in Dying MAID program was originally presented as this very narrow last resort option. That's how it's called incrementalism. That's how the commies always do it. They told us it was just for terminal illness and unbearable pain. That was the marketing pitch. But disturbing story after disturbing story has shown that everybody was duped. This isn't just a last resort move. It's becoming something much more ghoulish than that. Now, a 26-year-old man with seasonal depression is dead, approved under Canada's last resort system. At what point does this phony so-called compassion turn into something darker? Seems like we're already at that point, folks, from the Daily Mail, the most read newspaper in the world. A family has accused Canada's laws of, now, guys, they took a vote in Canada to allow children, I think down to the age of 12, to ask for the assisted suicide thing. And guess what? They voted on not telling the parents if the kid didn't want the parents to know. If they passed that and I lived in Canada and had kids, I'd be like, come on, kids, we're going to America. We're going to get a job down there. We're going to live down there because there's no way. Why would you chance it, right? A family has accused Canada's laws of killing the disabled and vulnerable months after their son, who suffered from seasonal depression, died by assisted suicide. Keanu Vafayan, a 26-year-old blind man with type 1 diabetes, died in December using Canada's medical assistance program, which allows patients with grievous or irremediable. Yeah, I know.
Irremediable.
That's what I just said. Medical conditions to request a lethal drug. Can you believe this shit? This is like the Dr. Kevorkian, but the government up there, they're sanctioning it. They have a program. You're paying taxes for this stuff. Eligibility was expanded in 2021 to include people with chronic illnesses, disabilities, and pending parliamentary review, potentially individuals with certain mental health conditions. Yeah, let's get rid of all these sad sacks, right? The citizen faced mental health struggles stemming from a car accident at 17. Can you believe this? And according to his mother, his depression often flared during the winter months. For years, the family had successfully prevented their son from using the program. Last year, however, Dr. Ellen Weeb, a maid provider in British Columbia, approved his death. News the family only learned about days later.
Now, wait a minute. They learned about it days later after
No,
they did?
it looks like they learned about it days later after it was approved. His death. But we'll go on. Vithayan's mother, I'm just going to call him Vithayan. All right, Vithayan's mother, Margaret Marcilla of Ontario, is that her whole name? Margaret Marcilla of Ontario, the third, alleged that Weeb was coaching her son on how to qualify as a track 2 patient. They literally coached him. Those whose, I mean, what happened to do no harm? Those whose natural deaths aren't deemed reasonably imminent, according to Fox News Digital. We believe that she was coaching him on how to deteriorate his body and what she can possibly approve him for and what she can get away with approving him for, Marcilla told the outlet. Marcilla has since been battling fiercely to undo the Track 2 modification and to support Bill C-218, a legislative effort intended to restrict MAID for those whose only condition is a mental illness. You can sit there and argue the details all day long. You can debate timelines, approvals, and paperwork nonstop. But step back for 1 second and look at the direction this program is heading. Like we said earlier, this was supposed to be about unbearable imminent death. Now we're talking about a 26-year-old whose condition was seasonal depression. How did we get here so fast? Here's the part that makes all of this even harder to process. This wasn't some steady collapse. It was not a slow, irreversible death march toward the end. There were rebounds, good stretches, and signs of momentum in this young man's life. The Daily Mail piece goes on. At 17, a severe car accident derailed Vithayan's college plans, and he spent years moving between family members' homes, his mother said. Marcella said her son was initially angry, insisting she had violated his right to choose death. But she told Fox that he began improving quickly the next year and even moved back in with the family in 2024. He tried, quote, he tried his best when he was in one of those good highs of life, she told the outlet. Then winter, fall started coming around. He started changing, and then everything that we had worked for from spring and summertime just disappeared. He would start talking about MAID again. Nevertheless, Marcilla said her relationship with her son had been improving, and in September, she moved him into a fully furnished Toronto condo with a live-in caregiver. That was nice. Vithayan texted his mother that he was looking forward to a new chapter, explaining that he was trying to save money so they could travel together. By October, he joined a gym and completed 30 personal training sessions. This is what complicates the entire story. This man was truly improving and making plans for the future. Then the season shifted and his depression returned, and the conversation turned back to MAID. Depression does that. It rises and falls, and it distorts reality in that moment, but it also passes, especially with treatment and support. And then everything changed. After the rebounds and the new chapter, this is how it ended. The Daily Mail piece concludes. Soon, however, he walked away from it all, with his mother saying that something snapped in his head. Vithayan checked into a luxury Mexican resort on December 15, posting photos with staff. 2 nights later, he flew to Vancouver, and 3 days after that, he texted his mother that his physician-assisted suicide was scheduled for the next day. Can you freaking imagine, guys? Can you imagine being that mother? He ultimately turned to Dr. Weeb after being rejected by several other doctors. She divides her medical practice between MAID and reproductive care, including abortion, contraception, and delivering newborns. Wow. She went ahead with Vithayan's procedure, news of which reached She did kill him. And then that's what it was, Jade. She went ahead with Vivian's procedure, news of which reached his parents only days later.
But
They said they were.
He apparently told his mother the day before.
Yeah. Well, he said, he said that
it was being done the next day.
Well, I don't think it says he checked in the luxury hotel. 2 nights later, he flew to Vancouver. He
Scheduled
texted
for
his
the
mother
next
that his
day.
physician suicide scheduled for the next day. But still, holy crap.
That's crazy.
Holy crap. Quote, this whole procedure came to us as a shock, Joseph Caprera, Vafian's stepfather, told the outlet. Vafian's death certificate now lists the antecedent causes of his assisted suicide as blindness, severe peripheral neuropathy, nerve damage outside the brain and spinal cord that causes pain and numbness, and diabetes. But his parents said his medical records did not back up the claim that severe peripheral neuropathy was a qualifying factor for his assisted suicide. And that ending is where the story gets deeply ghoulish and unsettling. You can debate assisted suicide policy all you want, but when the timeline moves this fast and the family is left searching for answers, it forces some much harder questions about what the heck is going on with this system. Is this really what Canada had in mind when it opened the door to assisted suicide? Maybe, but it's something I'm sure the left did. Because when you have managed care, when you have care that's socialized medicine, it comes down to what? Rationing, right?
Money.
Well, yeah, it comes down to rationing care. And so if you can get a couple of crazy people or people that have problems and, you don't want to give them help to get better, you just go, you know what, we can solve that problem. I'm sure some actuarialist for the government up there has a chart that says how much money each type of person saves the government.
Oh, no, they absolutely do. I've seen those figures.
Jesus.
And it's interesting because when I was in medical training in Canada, you see, since they put in socialized medicine, so when you're born, you get a card that looks very much like a credit card, and you go get any medical care you want anytime.
Right.
Now, when they first did it, at least in Quebec where I was, they had a separate fund for Medicare.
Yeah.
And there was always enough money in the fund, and they paid the doctors and they paid for the medical care. And then at one point, somebody kind of got a little greedy, I guess, and they made that fund not separate, but part of general funds.
Oh, okay.
And all of a sudden, there was no money to pay for procedures and pay for doctors and whatnot. So when I was in training, they can't not give you the treatment because you've got the card. This card, this is my bulletproof card.
Right.
So all you can do, you hit it on the head, rationing, because they would close hospital wards, so you could not get admitted to the hospital because there was no ward.
Yeah.
And in Canada, when I left Canada, elective surgery wait times were 18 to 24 months.
Oh yeah, they created a department up there to measure the miserableness of people who had to wait for that. Let me finish this out. So it says, but at some point, a country has to decide whether it is in the business of fighting for vulnerable people or killing them. And that's where Canada is right now. Hold on. Anglo, thank you. God bless you. It says Hungary, no immigrants, and give their people tax breaks for having kids. Way to go. You're absolutely right. And why is that? Because they don't have a fucking Democratic Party. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. They don't have a Democratic Party that's going to fight against it. They don't have a media there. I'm sure their media is bad, but not like our media that's going to make you look like a scumbag because you want to let people who earn the money keep more of what they earn, like they do here. Let's see. Last post, you disappeared for some reason. Okay. That's a message. It's probably a box they have to tick to inform next of kin, but the day before. Yeah. Crazy, man. That is really something when you think about that they are actually pushing to be able to kill people. It's like they're like, they're going out there trying to get clients to kill them. That's just crazy. Hang on. Jimmy sent me something. Let me see what it is. Let's see. What is it? something I can post or not. I don't know. Hey, the Book of Talmud. Here you go. We got to watch this. All right.
The Book of Talmud is, after the Hebrew Bible, the central text of Rabbinic Judaism and the primary source of Jewish religious law and Jewish theology. We have gathered a few rules from the book that Jews are taught to follow. Keep in mind, the word goyim in Hebrew means a non-Jew in English.
Right.
Sophorim 15. Even the best of goyim should all be killed. Yebamoth 98a. All children of goyim are animals. Baba Meziah 114b. Gentiles goys are not humans. They are beasts.
Right.
Gashaz 2. A Jew may violate but not marry a non-Jew girl. Sander in 54b. A Jew may have sex with a child.
I can't play that, Jimmy. What the fuck's wrong with you? I can't play that about children. Come on, dude.
You might have to cut that piece.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to now. Thanks, Jim. Yeah. So let's move
Play your
on.
feel-good story. We need something.
Yeah. The feel-good story of the week. Hang on. Let's do it. There we go.
Gather round and take a peek. It's the feel-good story of the week. Smiles and laughter, joy will seek. The feel-good story of the week.
All right. So here's the
dog
feel-good.
always makes me want to yawn.
Yeah, I know. A passing angel rescues woman 8 months pregnant from her sinking car. Look at that. There's a picture of it. A woman some 8 months pregnant has a total stranger to thank for her life and that of her baby. When driving down I-95 in Martin County, Shedley Apollon remembered feeling dizzy. It was her 29th birthday. She was probably in a good mood, but biology and fate had a wicked gift in store for her. The dizziness grew until she lost control of her car, which trundled off the highway and into a pond. Confused, she called her fiance and told her she was in the water. Wait a minute. She called her fiance and told her she was in the water. Whose kid is it? All right, confusing him in turn. Oh, him. That's a typo. And told him she was in the water, confusing him in turn. WPBF reports that the phone went dead at that moment, just when the water began seeping in through the holes under the pedals, and the car began to tilt forward into the brown water. Quote, I tried to open my driver's side door and my passenger door, but they were both submerged in water, so I couldn't get out, she said. I started feeling water on my feet, so I started to panic a little. That's when Good Samaritan on scene Logan Hayes, they're always named Logan, Logan Hayes stripped off his excess layers, took a running jump, and swam to the car to open the back door before it too became submerged. When he swung that door open, I was like, you are an angel. Yeah, I'm sure. Look at that. Man, can you imagine? It's almost, now here's the point. It's almost impossible to open a car door whilst the car is sinking. The force needed to disperse the water is beyond what most humans can create with their arms or even their legs. The best chance to save your life, if you know for certain your car is going into the water, is open the door on the way in or roll down the windows. Which is like like, oh my God, let me hit the door. Yeah, come on. Going into the water is open the door on the way or roll down the windows, which, like the door, can't be opened once they're taking on water. Wow. If not, so after that, kiss your ass goodbye if you missed that window, right? If not, the only other chance is to smash the windows. Yeah, okay. Or hold your breath until the pressure in the cabin equalizes with that of the water, at which point the door will open easily. That was proven on Disney Channel's Mythbusters to be beyond the limit of most people's lung capacity. So it'll be over 5 minutes. Fortunately for Apollon, Hayes reached the door.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
The trick is you've got air in the vehicle
Right.
as it's filling up.
Right.
And you keep breathing that air
Until there's no
until
more.
it
Right.
comes up, until you've got enough pressure. Can you imagine keeping your cool in a sinking vehicle
Not me.
for that long?
Not me.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. Not me. Right? I know.
I mean, you'd have to have balls of steel.
This was supposed to be a feel-good story. That was proven on. Yeah, okay. So Apollon's fiance arrived at the hospital after the birth of their daughter, Ivory, at 7 weeks early. Wow, weighing 3 pounds, 14 ounces. She described Ivory as her miracle baby, and it's easy to see why. Hayes said he was just happy to be at the right place at the right time. Is this video of the event?
Well, now to this. A pregnant woman in Florida has a total stranger to thank for her life and for her baby's life. When she swerved off the road and into a pond, he jumped into action.
Threw my hat off, ripped my hoodie off. I ripped my boots off, took like 3 or 4 like full stride run and just took like as far of a dive as I could. As I was swimming her is when I realized she was also pregnant.
This was the scene on Friday morning in the town of Stewart, that's just north of Palm Beach. Logan Hayes says he looked over, saw a car floating in water. Before first responders arrived, he raced to reach that woman inside. He pulled her to safety, and other drivers nearby offered jackets and sweatshirts to keep her warm. Hours later, he got more good news.
I got the fiance's number, texted him, and he told me that the baby was born and that the mom and the baby are both doing good and they were doing okay and that they were recovering.
2 lives.
Logan
Of course, the libs will go, it's only 1 life and a piece of tissue.
says he's glad he was in the right place at the right time. That's
right. Exactly. All right, cool. The feel-good story of the way. I'm about to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the shit? What? I thought you had a feel-good story.
Yeah. What is Tesco? Anglo, what's Tesco? I don't know what that is. Fish finding friend.
Maybe some UK store or something?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I thought, but then they're talking about fishing. The fetus was not a viable fish. Exactly. Yeah, let's go. What other one do I want to do right now?
Yeah, Tesco is supermarket.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, Tesco is a supermarket.
Mega store. Okay, like a Walmart superstore, right?
Yeah, in the UK.
Okay. So New York City braces for Mamdani cash grab. Guess who foots the bill? Okay. Call it the least surprising turn of events, but newly ensconced New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, communist, is facing a budget decision that will almost certainly impact those he claims to represent. In the wake of his first city budget, the mayor detailed a massive shortfall that he claimed could only be handled by following one of 2 paths, because they don't know any better, Democrats. One is
did you
go
all the programs? Did you see all the virtue signaling programs that he still wants to fund?
Yeah. One is the go-to socialist response: tax the wealth producers to extinction. I don't know about you guys, but I never got a job from a poor guy. Why don't you leave the rich guys alone for a while? And if that fails, the counterstrike is to tap the very folks who put him in office on a wave of affordability. Yeah, okay. Yeah, free government stores and all. Quote, there are 2 paths to bridge the city's inherited budget gap. Notice the inherited budget gap. It's your fucking budget gap, dude. You knew what it was beforehand because they let you see that stuff. You knew what it was. So stop lying. The first
Adams did not leave him with a budget shortfall.
I know. The first path, well, that's what they always say, though. I could blame my predecessor. That's part of the job, right? Part of the perks. The first path is the most sustainable and fairest, raising taxes on the wealthiest and corporations and ending the drain by fixing the imbalance between what the city provides, the state, and what we receive in return, he pitched. And then came the kicker. If we do not, and they can't, that he can't. The only way you can raise taxes is the property tax, because he's got to go through the state in order to raise income taxes on anybody. And Hochul, to her credit, has said, no, I'm not taxing those people anymore. They already pay enough, because she's going to have a California problem.
Yeah, and she's up for re-election.
Right. And all the billionaires are leaving Cali, right? Because of that wealth tax, a 5% wealth tax. So he says, if we do not go down the first path, the city will be forced to go down the second, more harmful path of property taxes and raiding our reserves. Yeah, to do communist things, right? Weakening our long-term fiscal footing and placing the onus for resolving this crisis on the backs of working and middle-class New Yorkers. See, it's not my fault that I'm going to, instead of make things affordable for you, I'm going to screw you out of more money. No. It's because the state won't give us the money. That's what he's doing. We do not want to have to turn to such drastic measures to balance our budget. He never balanced a budget in his life. But faced with no other choice, we will be forced to. If there's a surefire way to scare off the mobile middle classes, it is to make their homes unaffordable. These people have invested substantial capital to have a house in the Big Apple. Yeah, you guys have no idea. And are often able to pack up and move out. How else does one explain the burgeoning suburbia just outside the city limits? And then, of course, there was the lure of low tax states or no tax states that encourage folks to bring their portable income along. That's right. In Philadelphia, I remember Fast Eddie Rendell, when he was mayor of Philadelphia. You had people that lived outside of Philadelphia and lived in Philly but worked outside of Philadelphia. They didn't pay Philly tax because they worked outside the city limits. They just lived in the city, right? If you have an income tax, it's where you earn your money. He went to the state and asked them, can we start forcing governments outside the city of Philadelphia that he reigned over to send it in? And they said, yeah, sure, because they were all Democrats involved, right? But it was adding insult to injury, because he threw in there, he said, okay, so that they'll buy this. The corporations, the companies, the businesses, whatever, that have to now take taxes out and send it to us, we'll give them 1% off on their taxes. Through the state, not through Philly, through the state. So the state, the Democrats in the state house offered to allow any business that had someone who lived in the city but worked in their business to start taxing them, and they were able to take 1% off from their own tax burden to the state. How fucked up is that? Well, that's Democrats. It's worth mentioning that middle-class voters broke from Mamdani with 51%, perhaps assuming that his talk of punishing only the super wealthy would leave them well insulated. No third wave from Mamdani. As Sunshine State Governor Ron DeSantis pointed out, Florida has 23 plus million residents and a $117 billion budget. New York City, not the state, mind you, has roughly 8 million residents and a $127 billion proposed budget. It's clear that the city that never sleeps has a spending problem, not a revenue issue. And because they ran out of ideas, the Democrats, years ago. They don't know how to make people's lives better. You know what you do? You do absolutely effing nothing. And that would be better than what they're doing, right? And yet, the idea of cutting back on spending appears not to have occurred to the city's first Democratic Socialist mayor. Yeah, just stop spending, right? A lot of people go, well, tax cuts, that takes money away. I always do this. You may have heard this before, but indulge me. So you have a box. There's nothing in the box. You put $1 in the box. Now you got $1 in the box, right? So someone comes along and they're selling ice cream cones, like ice popsicles. Let's say popsicles. And you go, hey, how much for the popsicle? And the guy goes, $1. You open the box, you take the $1, you hand it to him, he gives you a popsicle. Now, what does that do? Did that affect spending? Yes. But did it affect anything else? No. Okay. You spent $1 and you got something for it. Now, tax cut. You don't put $1 in the box. There's nothing in the box. Guy comes down, hey, how much for a popsicle? He goes, $1. You open the box, Sorry, can't buy one. Did that affect spending at all? No. And these dumbass Democrats try to convince you that it would have. But it didn't, because you couldn't spend anything. You didn't have it. So if you give tax cuts, that means that they have to cut some of their spending out. Again, Anglo, God bless you. Where is it? There it is. I saw it on the wrong screen. Thank you, sir. Muslim mayor of London, Muslim mayor of New York, of the two world's greatest cities. Yeah, nothing to see here, Rich. Absolutely. Dude, they call it the Muslim swarm. That's what they're calling it. You think about it, they're trying it in Texas, but Texas, homie, don't play that shit down there, right? They're trying to take over Texas, the Muslims. Now, did you watch my video this week? I was playing. I said, New Yorkers, we warned you. We warned you and you didn't listen. Now you get to listen to this. And it's the call to prayer that's in the middle of New York City. And people are walking by going, what the hell is that? Right? Because they put it on a loudspeaker. Well, in August of 2023, their city made a rule that said, okay, you can only play this on Fridays between 12:30 and 1:30 in the afternoon for the rest of your life. And then also on Ramadan, the end of Ramadan, when it's called breaking the fast, for the rest of your life. True, man. And we warned him that Mamdani was a Muslim communist America hater, you know, and he's going to do everything in his power to be able to do call to prayer every day, right? Or at least 5 times on Friday, right? They're going to give him an inch, they take a mile. Thank you, man. Thanks, Anglo. I appreciate it. When Mamdani mentions shortfalls in the budget, he does not appear to be talking about keeping the lights on. The 2024 budget was $107 billion, and the 2023 budget came in at just $101 billion. So where's the shortfall? It seems he's pitching the notion that all the extras he promised on the campaign trail, the same promises that catapulted him into power, need to be paid for. That's not a budget shortfall. It's a shopaholics last line of defense. The middle-class voters who thought they would escape the socialist cash grab and that only those richer than themselves would feel the brunt are awakening to a cold new reality. But it's one that even a basic grasp of history could have shown. As with the introduction of the income tax in 1913, fewer than 1% of the population was on the hook. It was one in the United States. It was 1% for anybody that made over $1 million. Fast forward to today, roughly 3/4 of households are paying the federal levy. And guess who doesn't pay a thing? The poor. The people who use the programs that we all pay for the most. And like I said before, when did you ever get a job from a poor guy? The Democrats want you to think that being poor is virtuous. The communists, they want you to think it's virtuous to be poor. It's not. You're a drain on the system, and somebody has to say it. Somewhere in a luxurious Midtown apartment, former governor and 2025 mayoral hopeful Andrew Cuomo is dying to deliver to the city that rejected him a big fat "I told you so." And he's right. The guy's absolutely right. They get hangry. Yeah, exactly. I talked about I won't be able to talk.
Want to talk about the free grocery store?
Yeah. That's another one.
That might be good.
Yeah. The first grocery store. It was the first grocery store. Let me see. There it is. Let's bring it up. The first free grocery store opens, New York. There we go. That's from Front Page Magazine. New York's first free grocery store opens. Welcome to Moscow, 1965 it was. It wasn't a Mamdani mart, but it was a good indication of what the socialist grocery stores that Comrade Mayor promised to bestow upon New York City will be like. Last week, the cryptocurrency outfit Polymarket opened for 5 days only what it billed as New York's first free grocery store. And so the triumph of socialism was on full display in the Big Apple, right? Well, socialism certainly was, but triumph wasn't exactly the word. Fox News reported Thursday that in a busy stretch of restaurants and boutiques in the West Village, hundreds of New Yorkers queued up outside a pop-up shop offering free groceries. Guys, if you ever want to create a line, just give away something for free. That's right. The first glory of socialism that New York's first free grocery store brought to Gotham was long lines. As one of the last sclerotic rulers of the declining Soviet Union, Konstantin U. Chernenko told the Politburo in 1985, comrades, it is not unusual for one type of merchandise or another to disappear from shop counters, goods that are often the easiest to make and the most needed on a daily basis. Hence, the long lines, which became so much a feature of ordinary life in the workers' paradise, that the New York Times observed so common and pervasive are the lines that they have evolved their own etiquette, even their own slang. Shoppers in a busy store can have their place held in one line while they stand in another. Can you believe this? Women with small children pass freely to the front. This is like the videos I used to watch on YouTube of like 1985 Soviet Union. Well, yeah, the Soviet Union lines inside grocery stores that had like no food in them. Other privileged people ranging from disabled war veterans to recipients of the title Hero of Socialist Labor are also allowed to go to the head of the line. Goods in this world are handed out, not sold, as if to underline that the issue is not one of cost or choice, but simply one of finding the stuff. Chernenko also asked the Politburo, is there any explanation other than gross blunders for the obvious lack of good quality footwear, especially children's shoes? Why, sure, Constant. One primary explanation is that socialism, by confiscating the worker's wealth and making it useless for him to try to work harder to get ahead, removes all incentive to do anything more than the minimum that will keep him out of the gulag. I always had a saying that if it is the duty of the company to pay you just enough so that you don't quit, then it should be the duty of the employee to do just enough work so as to not be fired, right? A shoemaker in a capitalist society can get rich by providing cheap and comfortable shoes for the masses. In a socialist society, the shoes are even cheaper. They're free. But there is no reason for the worker to ensure their supply, as there is no reward for him in doing so. And so in the land where shoes are free, going shoeless becomes a fact of life. And so in New York's first free grocery store, the demand far outstripped the supply, and the lines were Soviet length. Quote, the scene was underscored, said Fox, by the city's cost of living woes and anxiety over who would get a yellow ticket granting them entry to the small shop before it sold out of goods. I read things that in Venezuela, what the people would do is they would there's like an empty lot and there's alleyways that go down from that. But in the lot, they wait for a truck to come in, and the truck has all the food and other staples that they're going to have, right? And that there were like hundreds of people that would be there in a line just waiting for hours. The truck would finally come, and the Venezuelan military would move in, push everybody back, take half the shit, and then go away. So people would come out and go, I got this can of lemonade. It's not even frozen, but I got it. You know, like stood in line for 8 hours for something like that. I mean, this is socialism, guys. This is what happens. And we got half of our country, stupid Fs, that think, well, yeah, I'm going to have a better life under socialism because I'm going to get everything from the rich people. Yeah, okay. Fox also noted that shoppers characterized the poly market, which was separate from the Mamdani-led efforts to unveil city-owned subsidized grocery stores in each of the 5 New York City boroughs, as a learning moment for the mayor, as residents cited concerns with security, running out of food, and people cutting lines. That's why socialist societies need secret police, so that the populace is too scared to cut in line, no matter how anxious they are at the market will run out of food. We don't need to read anymore. We know communism sucks.
People never learn.
They just don't.
People don't learn.
That's right.
It's pretty amazing.
Smoked salmon. Cool, man.
Oh, Red Georgia. Yeah, before we run out of time, we got to talk about Red Georgia.
Oh, we got 45 minutes. Let's see. Red Georgia.
Yeah,
there it
Trump
is.
returns to Red Georgia.
Yep. Yeah. There's a lot going on there. I talked to Mark. He said, I can't really talk about it now because the lawyers involved said, yeah, don't talk about anything that you're going to talk about. So he can't. So there's a PJ Media. Trump returns to red Georgia with receipts. There he is. He goes into a fast food place. President Donald Trump arrived in Rome, Georgia, in the northwest corner of the state for a rally on Thursday. The idea of a rally, when the hell was this? Yeah. The idea of the rally, of course, is to highlight the progress that his administration has made in a state that he won in 2024. The Peach State has had a reputation of going blue or purple, but that's due to the outsized influence of Metro Atlanta and other urban areas. The vast majority of Georgia is as red as the Bulldogs. Thursday's event felt like a who's who of MAGA Georgia, from Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, who is running for governor, to University of Georgia legend Herschel Walker, currently our ambassador to the Bahamas, to current UGA great gunner Stockton. Georgia's conservatives are turning out for the president. There they are. There's Herschel. His Eagle days. Yeah. All right, cool. So who's this? Let me see what Trump has to say. He's meeting them all.
Can't hear anything.
Yeah, well, there's nothing being said anyway. Yeah, he's just shaking hands and whatnot. So the White House press release about the events with the emphasis in the original. As President Trump visits Georgia today, he returns to a state that is seeing real recovery, safer communities, and renewed strength under his leadership, as more work remains to fully reverse the economic damage of the Biden era. These are meaningful victories for Georgia families and workers, yet President Trump that's guys that I wanted to talk to. How do I shut it off? That's guys I wanted to talk to. They were supposed to call me hours ago. These are meaningful victories for Georgia families and workers, yet President Trump is resolute. He will not rest until every Georgian enjoys lower prices, higher wages, secure communities, and prosperity that reaches every corner of the state. The press release also highlights where the administration's policies are in Georgia. One of the most obvious signs is gas prices, which are averaging $2.71 a gallon. I got gas in Athens a couple of weekends ago for $2.45. Tax relief is saving Georgians over $3,000 a year, while wages could rise by as much as $6,700 a year in the coming years, because everything's we're going to kick. Forgive me. I have to take this, guys. Hang on a second. Where the hell am I?
Okay, so I guess we get to wait for Rich to come back. Let's just continue the story. Well, actually, yes, I can. Yeah, there we go. So let's see, where are we in the story? There we go. So tax relief is saving Georgians over $3,000 a year, while wages could rise as much as $6,700 a year in the coming years. Combine that with Jones's plan to get rid of state income taxes, and Georgians could really benefit with more money in their pockets. One of the most important reforms in Georgia since Trump came back into office is rural health care reform. GOP policies have infused $218 million into the state to strengthen hospitals and other facilities across the Peach State's rural areas. I would be remiss to leave out what immigration enforcement is doing in Georgia. The state where Laken Riley lost her life at the hands of an illegal alien is now seeing, a criminal illegal alien from Mexico who was already deported once before, was arrested and charged with raping an 11-year-old girl while her 10-year-old sister was in the room. A criminal illegal alien from Mexico already had an active warrant for murder. Another criminal illegal alien from El Salvador, criminal illegal alien from Honduras, criminal illegal alien from Canada, and a convicted firearms trafficker. Homes are becoming more affordable. Corporations are creating jobs, and Georgia is becoming safer. As the press release concludes, Republican leadership is building a brighter, more prosperous future for all Georgians. And today's visit underscores President Trump's unrelenting commitment to finishing the job.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back. You want to finish this?
Yeah, nah, we don't need any more. We know what's
Yeah,
going
we're
on.
pretty much there.
Yeah, we pretty much know what's going on. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Courage is the cure. It's Robin's here. If you haven't already subbed to her, she's on Rumble and she's on X and she's on YouTube. But the Rumble and the YouTube, the links are in the description below. Please give her a sub, please. Thank you. Let me see. What's up, Robin? How you doing?
And hit
Thanks
the
for
like
stopping
button
in.
if you haven't.
Yeah, that's another one. Please hit that like button.
Hit the like button, people.
Yeah, please hit that like button. Let's see what's the next one. Sorry about that. What happened was, guys, I bought a portable monitor so that when I do the streams, I could put it over here and I could move, files over and whatnot. And the damn thing doesn't work. So it's because the cable going to it, I have to do something else. And they say you get no signal, give us a call. We'll tell you exactly what to do. So I did. And that was 8 hours ago. And naturally they call me now. Right. So I asked the guy, I said, I'll do a free ad for you in one of my videos if you call me tomorrow. He goes, yeah, I'll do that. So sorry about that, but I had to take that call.
Yeah, I just decided to keep reading the story.
Yeah, I was glad you did. I was glad. Hunter forager. Foraging isn't necessarily pilfering. That's right. Let's see. Exactly. Yeah, let's do this. This is Victor Davis Hanson. And I want to see what he has to say. He says, remember this? Jesus Christ. I remember when Texas started putting up, the fence, and you saw federal agents coming in under Biden and snipping the wires to let them through. It was unbelievable. How is that not treason to allow illegals from the world to come in? How is that not treason, for goodness sake? So why exactly did they destroy the border? Biden's border chaos wasn't accidental. It was a political strategy to reshape America's electorate and expand left-wing power. I've been saying this since the beginning, so I'm glad he caught up to me. Why would any president destroy the U.S. southern border? The left typically pounces on anyone daring to suggest that the Biden administration had greenlighted illegal immigration to gain new constituents for agendas that otherwise were without broad public. They kept calling it destiny is, what did they say? Demographics is destiny. I can't tell you the number of times they've said it on news programs and just at speeches, demographics is destiny, as they're letting in all the illegals, right? And so we said, well, that's the great replacement theory. And they're like, oh, you guys are racist saying that's not it. And we're like, but you're the ones who are saying it. We're just when we point out that they're the ones saying it, then they say it, right? And they're like yelling at us saying, well, you're calling it the great. That's not what we. Yeah, it is exactly what the fuck you said.
No,
right?
Rich.
Yes,
it's different when we do it.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Thank you. I forgot about that. So the left smears critics of open borders as racist conspiracists spreading the great replacement. There it is. I didn't even read this, guys. All right, I swear. Yet for years, Democrats and leftists themselves had written triumphalist books with titles like The Emerging Democratic Majority. They often crowed that demography. Well, it was demographics. Demography is destiny. I played a video last week of Joe Biden in 2017. Okay, he was at some board. He was sitting down, and he had Alejandro Mayorkas sitting next to him, the DHS guy under his regime that allowed them all in. And he was saying by 2017, he goes, the European white stock will be an absolute minority, and that's nothing that's bad, And I'm sitting here going, why is it a good thing? Why do liberals go, it's a good thing if white people are no longer the majority? Like, that's a good thing. Like, where the hell did that come from? What the hell was wrong? And he was white. So let me do this. Not too long ago, State Representative Jean Wu, Democrat, chair of the Texas House Democratic Caucus, jumped the shark to say out loud what is usually left unsaid about the agenda for the Democrats. The day the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor, you hear this, is the day we start winning, because we are the majority in this country now. No, you're not. We have the ability to take over this country and to do what is needed for everyone, which means kill the white people or steal their money or just take over everything like they did in Uganda, right? The same unapologetic left-wing weaponization of illegal immigration is occurring in Europe. Sheer numbers there have already radically changed the demography and political constituencies of the continent, right? Recently, the former Spanish Ministry of Equality, they have a Ministry of Equality, and energized Irene Montero offered an unambiguous rant, I hope, for replacement theory. I hope we can sweep this country of fascists and racists with immigrants, whatever their skin color, whether Chinese, black, or brown. The communists are on the move, guys, and they have no apologies about the shit they're doing. The culmination of the new hubris in the U.S. was the Biden administration's destruction of the southern border and enforcement of federal immigration law. He should have been impeached, but we just didn't have the votes. On some days, the Biden influx exceeded anyone's wildest imagination at the rate of 10,000 illegal entrants per day. The Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, in Baghdad Bob style, occasionally pontificated that the border was secure. I'll never forget, the border's secure. And someone yelled, liar. And he looked at him and said, the border's not secure. As thousands in the background illegally swarmed the border without health or even rudimentary background checks. They were telling us we had to wear masks and could get fined if we didn't. But they never even checked people to see coming in from third world shitholes if they had the plague or if they had any measles, anything that we had wiped out years ago. They weren't checking any of it. And yet we're racist if we point that out. Not anymore. The left's political agenda for illegal immigration was to be realized either immediately through compromised ballot integrity or soon enough by warping the census-based reapportionment of congressional districts. That's what they're trying to do. No wonder there is now near hysterical Democratic opposition to even basic rational requirements of a photo ID to vote. Yet, traditionally, liberal polls like Gallup and Pew show that 83 to 84% of Americans support mandatory presentation of a voter ID. Yeah, it's like 95% of the Republicans and 71% of Democrats. All right. It's like 62% of black Americans.
No, it's like 76.
No, black Americans was lower. Democrats is 71.
71% of Democrats, and it's higher than that in the black community.
I didn't hear the guy on CNN who's like honest.
I may get maybe I got it wrong, but that's what I remember.
I didn't hear him. I heard him say it was like in the low 60s. It doesn't matter. They're for it. They're overwhelmingly for it.
It's still a super majority.
Yeah, usually the left fawns over European protocols, but it now grows quiet when reminded that 46 of 47 European nations, even those governed by the left, require IDs to vote. Apparently, Democrats, I guess Mandela was a racist too, because he used to walk around with a shirt saying voter ID. He used to wear a shirt around that said voter ID on it. So I guess Nelson Mandela, he was a racist as well. He was a killer, but he wasn't a racist, right? Apparently, Democrats assumed that once 10 million more of the world's poorest had illegally crossed the southern border without audit or English proficiency, they would filter throughout American society and become impossible to repatriate. That's what their plan was. And then right before the next census, the blue states were going to give out all the freebies in the world to the illegals so they'd flood there and then they could get count there. And that's what they wanted, so that they would get more federal grants, they'd get more state would go into local grants, and then the power, they would get a congressional seat back and an elector. That's what their goal was. But soon open borders would flip more states blue, as well as increase their congressional seats. Illegals were to be redefined as mere residents and often recipients of mail-in ballots. Exactly. The reality that millions of new poor through their needs would grow the welfare state, expand government at all levels, require far more taxes, and fuel the DEI binary of oppressed oppressors were added benefits. Guys, this is what I don't understand. Okay. You have a political party here, the Democratic Party, that put us through hell for 4 years. They put us through hell. It wasn't just that they brought in upwards to 20 million illegal aliens, right? But they started going into blue cities because Greg Abbott, I think, well, we know it was Florida, but I think some from Arizona as well pushed him into the blue cities, the sanctuary cities around the country, right? And that forced those cities to use up the resources to put these assholes in hotels and to feed them and all that, right? So the resources that the people who live there paid in taxes was being spent overwhelmingly to fund these illegals. It's just unbelievable what they put us through. You know, because it wasn't just the crime and the rape and all that from the illegals that happened, but the illnesses that were born from that, right? When the government goes and says, okay, we've got 10,000 people that need housing, so we're going to fill up all these apartments and houses, we're going to rent them all. The government will rent them all. Well, the government always pays more so that they get the so if the house is going to if it's a 4-bedroom house and it's going to rent for like $2,000 a month, right? They're going to say, oh, we'll give you $4,000 because then that beats anybody else that's going to pay that amount. And that's what they do. So what happens? All of the regular American citizens' homes around them, like they skyrocket in costs. Like anybody else that's renting, like apartment buildings, the cost skyrockets because that's the natural order of capitalism, right? You got to keep up with it, right? So I mean, my God, the shit that they did, and yet people are still saying that Orange Man bad, and we gotta win the midterm for what? To destroy the country more? Christ, the nexus between the $9 billion Somali welfare fraud and Minnesota Democratic officials offers a sharp reminder of how the immigration welfare DEI exemption industry was created and protected by Obama, by authorities. Biden's new 10 million unlawful entrants may have increased the existing pool of illegal aliens 20 million to 30 million. I think it's more than 30 million. That total, in turn, radically grew the existing group of 20 million legal foreign-born citizens and legal residents of various categories. So when Trump took office in January 2025, the U.S. had admitted a record high of foreign-born residents. They now made up some 16% of the population and perhaps 53 million in actual numbers. The influxes came at a time when too often the melting pot tradition of immigration, assimilation, and acculturization, what is that?
Acculturation.
Acculturation. All right.
That's adopting the culture.
Oh, I thought that was assimilation. All right. Was reviled and superseded by salad bowl ethnic chauvinism and separation. What's the difference between these two then? Assimilation is you assimilate to become like the people that live there. You keep your culture. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you keep your culture, but you assimilate. Maybe that's what these say. I don't know. But I got to get a better dictionary. So yet the triumphant left never imagined a Trump reelection, nor could it grasp fully Trump's counter-revolutionary effort to secure the border and undo the Biden nihilism. Even more surreal to Democrats were his efforts to reinstate the integrity and supremacy of federal immigration law. No one really believed Trump would seek to find and deport millions who had filtered through 50 states. Most were enjoying de facto immunity via hundreds of left-wing lower district court judges and blue state officials of the Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom sort. So it says there is only one way that the left would ever oppose a return to legal, measured, and diverse immigration, namely, if any of its immigrant constituencies in the future, such as the 55% of Hispanic males who voted for Trump in 2024, dared to vote on criteria other than federal entitlements, ethnic solidarity, and democratic coercion. Do that, and the left would close the border quickly. Exactly. It's all for power. They will F up this country just to gain power. And they'll blame the right for effing up the country at the same time. It's just absolutely amazing. The shit that they get away with. Oh, Anglo. Wow, man. Thank you. We're decades before you. Accept your replacement, bigot. Yeah, exactly. I hear you. But you know what? As long as we can keep the MAGA in the White House, you know, well, the White House and the Congress, I think we'll be all right, but that's going to be hard to do. I mean, the White House probably, because JD will probably get elected because they don't have anybody on their bench. I mean, think about the absolute joke that AOC was. They put her in that position last week just to make her seem like stately, like she could run for president. She was a moron's moron. I mean, she had no idea what she was talking about. There's a book out there called On Bullshit, and it explains, I've read it, and it explains how people that literally bullshit, they don't know anything at all. You usually think like you know something, right? No, for bullshit, it's people that don't know anything at all about it. And yet they'll say something. It's not Dunning-Kruger where they act like an authority, but the bullshitter will try to make it seem like, yeah, I know about as much as you. And AOC couldn't even pull that off.
No, it's kind of like, well, I'm a bit of a bullshitter myself, but carry on. I'll always like to listen to an expert.
Exactly. Yeah, unreal. I don't think party matters, but hey, that's not, you know what? You're right here. It didn't, Special K, until Trump. Then party mattered. It didn't. We were under George W. It didn't fucking matter. If Romney would have gotten it, it wouldn't have mattered. But with Trump, it does. Because you'll see things are getting done here. They got done in his first term, and they're getting done now. He has many rhinos, Republicans in the Senate that just can't stand him. But the reason why they'll vote for him is because they know that their constituents love Trump. It's a shame that everything that's getting done is by one man. Now the only other ones that I know, our Speaker of the House, Johnson, he's fully on board with MAGA and America First. He's a true believer, right? And there's several others. Thune's a rhino. But the fact is, he has been doing most of the things he's done is pro MAGA.
Yeah,
right?
Just to protect himself.
Right. But you know what? I'll take it.
But yeah.
I'll take it. I mean, it's better than Schumer, right?
Oh, God.
Like, communism is not dead. I'm still here. Schumer. I mean, no. I prefer any rhino over a Democrat.
So what do we want to talk about? Want to talk about Rubio, or do we want to talk about Obama?
Yeah, but Rubio's not in that. What's the other one you were talking about?
We could talk about the traitor Obama.
Yeah.
What a traitor.
Yeah, wait till you see this. This is crazy. He is a fucking traitor. He's a traitor to the core. Obama says Trump crime crackdown, not our idea of America. Really? Former President Barack Obama criticized President Donald Trump's approach to urban crime during a podcast interview with comedian Mark Maron, saying recent actions by the administration reflect not our idea of America. Really? So your idea of America is not to have peace on the streets again? It's not to have people not being assaulted or those loudmouth assholes outside your home that just won't go away to every hour of the night? Really? So speaking on Maron's podcast, Obama said, we don't want masked folks with rifles and machine guns patrolling our streets. They don't. They have targeted people that they go after. We want cops on the beat who know the neighborhood and the kids around, and that's how we keep the peace around here. Okay, but when you bring in 20 million paupers from shitholes around the world and you allow gang members to come in, I'm sorry, but that's how it's got to be. You got to get rid of them. And so he doesn't take any of that into consideration. And I think he's doing this because Democrats have this weird thing they do. When they know they're about to be investigated or charged with a crime, they come out against the very administration that's about to pounce on them, thinking that, well, they're going to hold off them because everybody that supports me, which is the whole mainstream media for Obama, right? They still think he shits rainbows and ice cream, right? Well, what's going on is he thinks that, all Democrats do, he thinks that, well, they're not going to go after me now because then I'll just say that it's because I said this about him. So he's doing retaliation. We can't have that, can we? He also warned against what he described as politicization of the justice system. Can you effing believe this idiot? He weaponized the DOJ and the intelligence community against Trump before and after the election. This guy is what a piece of crap. We don't want kangaroo courts and trumped up charges. Can you believe this? That's what happens in other places that we used to scold for doing that. Really? Well, we used to scold other places for stealing elections too. For making up shit, for weaponizing a justice system against your enemies, your political enemies. We want our court system and our Justice Department and our prosecutors and our FBI to be just playing things straight and looking at the facts and not meddling in politics the way we've seen lately.
You mean the way that they did under you?
Yeah, I mean, is this not amazing? But see, he knows that they're going after him. They are going after him, all right? Because Trump said, well, I think that he would get immunity, right? But he wouldn't, because the ruling by the Supreme Court didn't say that treason and crimes have immunity. That's not what they said. You know, the president doesn't have that. Yeah, you don't have immunity from committing crimes. You just don't. All right. So let's see. We want our court justice system prosecute. The balls on this guy, the freaking balls after what he did. And let's face it, guys, all the lawfare that came on Trump during the Biden regime, that was Obama. I don't even know if Biden even knows what the hell happened, but that was Obama. Obama got his third term. You know, I mean, he sent Susan Rice and the other one, Valerie Jarrett. He put them into the Biden regime, and they were the ones calling the shots. Obama argued that long-standing legal norms and guardrails have been eroded. No. Whew. See, here's the thing. Politicians in the past, like presidents, got lazy and told Congress to do certain things instead of him. And Congress did the same thing. So you have presidents like Joe Biden, you know, I need Congress to help me close the border. No, you don't. It's already there. Shut up. Just do it, right? But then Trump comes along and he says, well, wait a minute, you know, I've had 4 years to think, right? And we've seen that there's all these powers that the executive branch already has, but these liberals went to court over the years, like over 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and argued, and left-wing judges said, yeah, you know what? He doesn't have that power when he does. So Trump is now going all the way up to our Supreme Court, and the Roberts Court. I don't care what anybody says. I don't like Roberts, but his court right now is trying to right all the wrongs of past courts. Right. And so they're I mean, Trump was like 29-0, right? They're siding with him, saying, you know what? You're right. That's exactly what it says in the Constitution. This other ruling, throw it out. And they are. But they say that he's acting like a dictator. No, he's acting like a president. Right? Like they deballed the presidents over the last 20, 30 years. But now he's growing a pair again because he's saying, screw that. It says right here. He always says, you know, smarter people than me say that the law is the law and that I'm right. Right? We have blown through, just in the last 6 months, a whole range of not simply assumptions, but rules and laws and practices that were put in place to ensure nobody is above the law and that we don't use the federal government to simply reward our friends and punish our enemies. Guys, he literally said when he was running for re-election, he said to a group of Hispanics, if you remember, he said, we are going to reward our friends and punish our enemies. He wasn't talking about the Republicans. Excuse me. He literally said those words. We are going to reward our friends and punish our enemies. And they all clapped for him. They were like out on the street and he was sitting there and he said, yeah, we're going to have a system where we reward our friends and we punish our enemies. And now he's saying it that we're not going to do that because he thinks Trump is doing it when Trump is not. Excuse me. He compared the current moment to prior periods of political tension in American history, including the McCarthy era, and said public engagement is necessary. Really? Then why did you guys turn around and censor everyone? Why'd you do that? Public engagement is net. Why did you censor everyone? What's required in these situations is a few folks standing up and giving courage to other folks. And then more people stand up and kind of go, yeah, no, that's not who we are. Well, you got more people now saying, yeah, that's who we are. That's who we are.
And that's what I voted for.
Right. That's the biggest thing I always put out there on Facebook. Is this what you voted for? And everyone's like, hell yeah. It's awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Obama encouraged individuals and institutions to push back against see, this is bullshit. This is bullshit, right? Push back against what he sees as overreach. If enough people start not being in a fetal position, but also not worrying about it and detached from it, being vigilant and also saying, you know what? Yeah, we can stand up to this. And eventually you got guys in pink pussy hats that are out there throwing frozen bottles of water at ICE agents because of scumbags like this saying this garbage, right? So it's mind-boggling how Trump is law and order, obeying the law, obeying the Constitution within his Article 2 powers, and they say that he's a fascist dictator, that he's going overboard. No, he's not. He's trying to fix the shit that he and warm diarrhea brains actually caused for this country. I don't want to play it. He suggested that law firms, universities, and businesses should be willing to endure financial or political pressure rather than compromise core principles. No, the core principles are what he wants thrown out. That's what he wants thrown out. If you're a law firm, you're saying we're going to represent who we want, and we're going to stand up for what we think is our core mission of upholding, and maybe we lose some business to that. Oh, gee, I can't even read anymore. I'm getting angry.
Yeah, we get the gist.
Can you tell? Unreal. Unbelievable. So this guy, hang on. I'm going to read this idiot. This guy in Detroit, a police chief. So Detroit police chief moves to fire 2 officers for reporting illegal aliens to the feds. Can you believe this? David Linfield from Slay News. Detroit's police chief is seeking to terminate 2 officers after they allegedly contacted U.S. Customs and Border Patrol during routine traffic stops involving illegal aliens. You know what they should do? ICE should hire them and put them in Detroit.
There you go.
Think about that. ICE should hire the 2 of them. If he fires them, ICE should go, yo, we got a job for you. Come on.
Well,
you work with us?
ICE is hiring, so yeah.
Yeah, higher pay, better pensions, more prestige. Come on. Fuck Detroit leaders. City leaders argue that reporting illegal aliens to CBP violates long-standing department policy, barring cooperation in federal immigration. I would just say, well, I was off duty when I made the call. What are you going to do? I wasn't a cop at the time. I was off duty. Police Chief Todd Bettison, the dumbass, confirmed the officers have been suspended. Can you believe this? Bettison said he has formally requested that the city's Board of Police Commissioners approve their dismissal. Holy mackerel. He stated that the Detroit Police Department does not participate in immigration enforcement activities and said the officers' actions led to detentions that run counter to departmental rules. Unreal. City officials back termination. Yeah, you know what? ICE really needs to hire them. That's what needs to happen. Unbelievable. Ugh. Makes me sick.
Well, there's a feel-good story. U.S. surges largest Mideast air power.
Yeah, there you go. We'll do that one. We got some time left.
Yeah, we got another story or 2.
Hussein wants to make Mike to bum him. Yeah, he's buggering Mike there. Let's see. Yes, there we go. So here we go. U.S. surges largest Mideast air power since 2003 as Iran strike could come within days. Breitbart again. Who is it? It's Joshua Klein. All right. The United States has assembled the largest concentration of air power in the Middle East since the 2003 Iraq invasion, deploying 2 aircraft carriers. And the one of them is the Gerald R. Ford, which is it's the most modern aircraft carrier in the world. Advanced stealth fighters, refueling tankers, and layered missile defenses into theater as multiple U.S. and Israeli reports warned President Donald Trump could authorize strikes on Iran as soon as Saturday, with talks described by American officials as very far apart and even nothing burger. Senior U.S. officials told CBS News that the military is prepared to launch strikes this weekend if ordered, with one official describing planning conversations as fluid, but indicating forces are in place. Separate reporting by CNN and New York Times likewise confirmed strike options have been presented, and that readiness timelines now point to the coming days. Behind the scenes, Trump convened top national security advisors in the Situation Room on Wednesday, according to Reuters, as the Pentagon finalized positioning across the region. Air campaign assets flow into the theater. The scale of the buildup represents the most formidable U.S. military posture in the Middle East in over 20 years. And I got a hot news flash for you. Most of those other countries there want them out anyway. They want Iran taken out because it's a very destabilizing country over there. The Wall Street Journal reported Wednesday night that Washington is assembling the greatest amount of air power in the region since 23. Yeah, we said that, including additional F-35 and F-22 stealth fighters, F-15s and F-16s, airborne command and control aircraft, and dozens of refueling tankers essential for a sustained campaign. A second carrier strike group, led by the USS Gerald R. Ford, is moving toward the Mediterranean to join the USS Abraham Lincoln, which is already operating in the broader region. Destroyers capable of intercepting ballistic missiles are accompanying both groups. According to flight tracking data and defense reporting from the war zone, additional fighter squad, they say they have more planes there than any other time. Fighter squadrons have flowed into bases in Jordan and Saudi Arabia, while aerial refueling bridges have been established throughout Europe to sustain operations, except England. Because you guys have a piece of shit for a prime minister. The New York Times noted that Patriot and THAAD missile defense systems, previously thin in theater, have now been reinforced to protect roughly 30,000 to 40,000 U.S. troops stationed across the region. Officials told the Times the force package gives Trump the option of a sustained multi-day or even multi-week campaign, not merely a limited strike like last year's Midnight Hammer operation against 3 Iranian nuclear systems. Talks fracture as red lines collide. The military surge is unfolding as diplomacy sputters. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi described Tuesday's indirect Geneva talks as producing agreement on a set of guiding principles, but a senior U.S. official told Israeli media the session was a nothing burger. All right. So Caroline Leavitt confirmed that a little bit of progress was made, but stressed we're still very far apart from some issues, the fact that Trump has affirmed. So I think it's going to happen tomorrow. Could be wrong. Don't know what's going to happen. What's that? So the betrayal begins.
Oh, there's another feel-good story. The cost of failure.
What is it?
The cost of failure.
There you are. Yeah, Gavin Newsom. That'll be the
Gavin
final
Newsom.
one. Yeah, Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom going down. That could always bring a smile.
Yep. So here we go. So it's red state. Bob Hoge. The cost of failure. Gavin Newsom's White House dreams take a pole dive, right? Because he's an idiot. Gavin Newsom hasn't really been doing much governing in California. Rather, he's been trashing the United States while overseas, constantly trying to be that annoying gnat in President Donald Trump's ear, weighing in on the matters of other states and ignoring his own as it continues its slide into decay and corruption. He is, however, widely rumored to be ramping up a presidential run. Let's just read it. Kevin Dalton, I could go on. Homelessness, this is California. He's number 1 out of 50. Poverty, 1 out of 50. Retail crime, 1 out of 50. Gas prices, 1 out of 50. Illiteracy, 1 out of 50. Wage stagnation, 1 out of 50. Frivolous lawsuits, you guessed it, 1 out. Unemployment, well, 3 out of 50. Housing costs, wow, look at that.
As your governor, I promise you, whatever challenges come our way, I will always lead the California way.
Literally insane.
Love that.
I say that's the California way,
You guys are really awesome. Thank you so much.
based on compassion,
I mean, if we're going to be realistic, they pay you to be homeless here.
common sense.
Clean and sober is one of the biggest damn mistakes this country's ever made. We all need to self-medicate periodically.
Telling the truth.
Look at him.
Telling the truth. Treasuring our diversity.
Use the fist to hit my.
Telling the truth. Following science.
Oh, jeez.
Protecting our planet.
Love like yours will surely come my way.
Gavin Newsom, courage through crisis.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Good Lord.
I know. Is that not amazing? Now I want to hit a couple videos because we still got 6 minutes. I want to hit a couple videos that let's see, what are we gonna do? Oh yeah, here's one. Got this guy. Oh my goodness. Where's the video? Where is it? Yeah, we got it. Okay. This guy's a Democrat and he says God requires you to become a Democrat. To agree with Democrats. Here we go.
Well, for 50 years, the religious right.
This is that.
That's Tallarico. That's James Tallarico.
That's him. That's the one that all the controversy.
Political movement. That is the perfect description for it. They convinced a lot of our fellow Christians that the most important issues were abortion and gay marriage. Two issues that aren't mentioned in the Bible, two issues that Jesus never talked about.
Really?
Jesus in Matthew 25 tells us exactly how you and I and every one of our fellow believers, how we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger. Nothing about going to church, nothing about voting Republican. It was all about how you treat other people. Don't. I've said before, don't tell me what you believe. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe. And I think in our faith, we've got to get back to those fundamentals. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas, and when I was little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion, not an easy religion. He would always clarify, but a simple religion because Jesus gave us two commandments: love God and love neighbor. And there was no exception to that second commandment. Love thy neighbor regardless of race or gender or sexual orientation or immigration status or religious affiliation. And it's why I have fought so hard for the separation of church and state in the state capitol in Texas, because
no such thing. There's no such thing. There we go. There you go. There's my scripture for the day. A wise man's heart directs him toward the right, but the foolish man's heart directs him toward the left. Ecclesiastes 10:2.
Okay, listen, I don't know if you want to try and get another one in, but I think you need to take a minute to thank Anglo. You haven't.
Oh, did he put another one up? Oh, wow.
Check all your super chats. He's put in quite a few.
A lot, I know.
And you haven't.
No, I did. I said every one of them. Hold on. 843. Yeah, that one I missed. You're right. Thank you, brother. Change the constituency. Change the constituency. Donald for term three. Constituency.
Constitution.
Yeah, he meant constitution. The Constitution for Donald for term 3. Yeah, he always trolls them. Thank you again, man. I really appreciate it. He trolls the left by saying, yeah, well, you know what? Some people are saying I could have a third term. He knows that it's not the Constitution. It's an amendment. So, yeah, it's part of it, but it's an amendment that came in that said that you can only do 2 terms. But he said, did they mean, one term after the other? No, they didn't mean just that, because they literally wrote in there 2 terms, and they defined it as you can't have you have one term, then another person comes in, then another. They literally defined it that way.
Yeah, they even said if you serve, more than 2 years of the previous guy's term because something happens to him, that's so they went into it.
We're gonna end it with this. It's the video of a black woman that supports Trump, and God love her, because wait till you hear what she says. The things grandma's fiery defense of Trump steals the show at Black History Month celebration. Can you imagine? Trump is in Black History Month. Now, hold on. Let me bring this back. Okay. Can we bring it up? Yeah. There you go.
One thing I
like about him, he keeps it real, just like Grandma. I appreciate that because I can trust him because he tells exactly how he feels and what he thinks. Thank God for this president.
Listen to her story.
I am filled, my cup runneth over. Because he allowed his constituents, his people, to come to my house to interview me, to talk about the murder of my grandson. It seemed like nobody cared. I'm an advocate for murder. I marched, I rallied, I pulled out other families in the District of Columbia that had murders and did not have answers. Ooh. We marched and we rallied, and nobody heard me, Democrats. Get mad at me. Until this Republican sent his constituents, his people out there to interview me in my home. Have you ever heard of a thing?
Yeah.
Then they invited me twice before Congress to testify for the beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life. Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh time. Just that simple.
Common
and
sense.
then we need National Guard, and which we did years ago. He brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off of him. And Grandma said it.
I love her, man. She's awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. That's a good way to
Grandma said it.
That's a good way to end it, man. Guys, do me a favor, guys, and hit that like button again hit the like button if you haven't already. It actually helps us. I really appreciate you guys being here, but I got to go. I got to take my dog to a vet. He's not feeling good, and we have an urgent care. Believe it or not, we have an urgent care for pets here. So I have to take him. I got an appointment in like 15, 20 minutes from now. So we're going to call it a night. Appreciate you guys all being here. Look
Anglo,
at this.
Anglo, one more time.
Restore Britain, Rupert Lowe. Yeah, I heard good things. 80,000 members in 7 days. Nice, man. Thank you again. Thanks, Anglo, man. You're the man. I'll probably see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, over in 40s. 40s probably, hitting it all. Hey, Bess, I didn't know you were here. How you doing, brother? Yeah, let me see. Don't have Matthew. I wonder why. I don't know. I don't know what it says, actually, to be honest with you. All right, guys, we are out of here. Thank you. Have a great week. Watch my videos, please. Bring some friends next week. Hit that like button. Love you all. Talk to you later. Bye.